Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. This is a story about what if Naruto is a hidden teacher at UA. Before I start, please support for more amazing content and do consider subscribing to my channel and share this video with your friends. This is written by BeniKaze and link in description and support writer. Let's start the video. Chapter 1. No one is useless in this world who lightens the burdens of another Charles Dickens. Naruto groaned as he slowly walked into the building. The sun had just begun to rise as he quietly shuffled through the school and found the teacher's lounge quickly enough. He wasn't surprised to see one face that he already knew. "Long time no see, Toshinori?" asked Naruto, taking a seat across from him before kicking his feet up and crossing his hands behind his head. "Ah, Uzumaki-kun. It's nice to see you again. Are you prepared for today?" "As prepared as you are, but I wish it wasn't so early," said the blonde, laughing a little, earning a chuckle in return. "I never intended to be a full-fledged teacher here, but I think it's better for me. I'll be able to lay the groundwork for a better tomorrow. With my body growing older and weaker, I don't have the luxuries you do." Naruto looked up and closed his eyes. "I wish I had the luxuries people my age do, but I guess that's my stubborn side keeping me in line and not at the casinos." Toshinori sighed. "I wasn't talking about your gambling addiction, but let's just go with that. Tell me though, how do you see the crop this year?" "Why are you asking?" Naruto gave the thin man a critical eye. He didn't like to play word games, and the hero next to him knew that. However, the worried look on his face as he looked at the desk caught the blonde's attention. "Do you think we can leave the world's problems to these kids? Can we pass the torch safely, hoping things will work out in the end? I want to believe, but my intuition's been lacking recently and you've always seemed to have a gift with this kind of stuff." "HMPF, I won't go off of just the entrance exam. Let me see how things go today and I'll get back to you on it." The older man let out a chuckle. "Let's hope they make it through the first day." "Hey, I'm not that bad. I haven't even taught yet, so it's not like I can do much wrong here." Izuki looked nervously around the room. Everyone was mostly seated now, but the teacher had yet to show up until now, and that wasn't helping his nerves at all. Who would it be for homeroom? He just hoped it was All Might. He might get off easy then. His hopes were crushed as what looked like a sleeping bag was tossed through the door before it skidded to a stop near the front desk. Following the bag, a young man walked through holding a large box and a cup. His spiky blonde hair immediately gained Kaminari's respect and undivided attention. He wore no hero attire like the other teachers. It was a fairly plain casual attire, almost akin to the student's dress. He had on a burnt orange shirt with black lace lining, paired with both black pants and dress shoes. His piercing blue eyes got many of the female students' attention quickly enough, coupled with what looked like 3 lines akin to whiskers on both sides his face. On his right wrist was what seemed like an expensive watch, extremely elegant, a gold face, silver band and gold lining. Hanging from his neck was a silver cross that shined on its own, a symbol set on top of it as well that no one could make sense of. I will leave a link to this in my profile under this story name. "Hello, Class 1A. My name is Naruto Uzumaki and I'll be your homeroom teacher." So normal, thought most of the class. He didn't even seem to have a quirk, showing nothing outwardly nor wearing the attire of any hero. It was then the sleeping bag began to move, unzipping as a man slowly emerged. "I'm Aizawa Sensei, the assistant teacher for the class. With this guy being so new, I'm assigned to help assist in class teachings from time to time to ensure no student is left behind. In that box are your UA uniforms for the remainder of your time here." Naruto stepped forward with a smile. "Find your name on the tag and get dressed. We're going to have a little assessment test for you all. Hero style." That line got the kids up quickly enough, rushing to dress and head out to the back of the school where the track and field area was. "Today, we'll be assessing how you all do in the basic field tests, but this time it won't be like middle school. This time, use your quirks in any way possible to finish the task. Simple enough, said Naruto with a smile, leaving his confused students just staring. Aizawa sighed and stepped forward, tossing a ball to Bakugo. "How far could you throw without your quirk?" 67 meters. "Try with it, just stay inside the circle." Bakugo walked up to the center and stood, planning out the best way to send it off before looking forward. His arm arched back and he tensed before using the full force of his explosion ability to send it flying through the air. Naruto watched the number counter cycle through meters before landing just past 700. "Not a bad number. You've got a cool quirk there," said Naruto, earning a growl from the young boy. "Not bad. I'd like to see you do better, whoever the hell you are. You don't look special." Naruto only smiled. "Wider looks can be deceiving, Bakugo-san. Back on track. Everyone get ready for the real tests. I want to make this a little more exciting. Whoever gets last is basically a waste of air and more importantly my time. So, last place gets evicted and the top student in class 1B will take their place. Good luck, said Naruto, an innocent smile taking over as he started to test everyone. He took notes on different people as the records were clocked automatically in the system on the phone. Trial by trial, he watched a few students, varying each time to get a feel for everyone's quirks and abilities up close before they made it back to the ball toss. Bakugo-san, your attempt will still stand unless you want to attempt again, said Naruto. Nah, I think I'm good, said the boy with confidence. Very well, let's get going. Uraraka-san, you're up first. She set the bar high for everyone, using her powers to force the distance meter to show the infinity symbol. From there, everyone was fairly average, some did better, others didn't do very well at all, but eventually it came down to a boy both Naruto and Aizawa had their eyes on. Izuki Midoriya stepped forward, a bowl in hand as he weighed his options. Knowing this to be his one and only chance to get ahead, he pressed on. With one for all 100% sent to his arm, he cocked it back and moved to deliver only to suddenly see the sky. His mind unfocused, the power left him as his back hit the ground and he saw Naruto standing above him. The rest of the class was left confused. In an instant Naruto was standing above a downed Midoriya. "Ah!" he tripped. Shouted Bakugo, laughing loudly and causing a few of the guys to snicker. Naruto knelt down, his soft blue eyes now cold as ice. "Tell me, Midoriya-kun. If this were a weapon sent at a crowd of villains just now, what would have happened? I would have hit them. And then? I wouldn't be able to use my right arm. Correct, your dominate hand would be useless, and even if you took out the majority, you'd still have a hunting party to deal with, or more precisely, your team to deal with. You'd be a hazard and most likely they'd have to pull you back, costing valuable manpower for fighting to rescue you from the fray. You'd be responsible for their injuries, their failure to save more lives, all because you thought it's worth an arm to take down a few bad guys. Don't hit harder, think harder, only then you'll find what you've been looking for. Winning isn't always going to need sacrifice." His eyes softened once more and he helped the boy up, handing him a ball, and stepped back to Aizawa's side. "2 more tries, since you slipped." Izuku gulped and bowed his head, racking his brain with thoughts of his options and everything possible to win without sacrifice his mobility. Naruto watched as the boy suddenly shot up with determination and cocked his fist back again, prepared to give it one more shot. "As I said, zero potential," said Aizawa, but noticed Naruto's smirk. "Just watch." He continued his momentum, his quirk never appearing on his body, but right as the ball left his hand, Naruto saw his finger light up before the ball was sent flying. Both teachers watched the numbers quickly pass before stopping just past Bakugo's number. "This kid might just go somewhere after all," said the black-haired man, and Naruto nodded his head. "He showed us guts, and now he's slowly getting some brains. Every hero is built different and becomes greater through different means. Trust in the future, Aizawa." Izuku turned to the two teachers, gripping his arm where his broken finger was and made a solid fist. "I can still move, sensei." Naruto sent a thumbs up. "Splendid work. Next please." However, instead of the next in order, Bakugo's hand lit up with miniature explosions before he raced after the boy. "Deku, you bastard. Tell me what the hell's going on?" shouted Bakugo, his hand outstretched as he sprinted right for the unmoving boy. Naruto never moved, he only spoke. "That's enough, Bakugo." His words seemed like a plain sentence, but the boy stopped dead in his tracks and turned to the blonde. His neutral gaze staring right at the hot-headed boy. Bakugo wouldn't ever say this to anyone out loud, but he never wanted to stop. It was as if his brain decided for him, like he had no control. "Step back in with the other students, now." The boy seemed torn, wanting to go after Deku, but in the end his body spun and he returned to the group. Midoriya took that moment to realize exactly who their teacher was, a hero who was just entered into the register only a few months ago. "Why, your Saint Ruler?" Naruto just looked plainly at him. "I am, what of it?" Izuku's face lit up at the sudden attention. "Sorry. I just meant to say you're a new hero, and it's nice to meet a young hero skilled enough to teach us." Naruto shook his head. "Thank you, Midoriya-san, but I only hold the title hero because it's necessary to teach here at UA." "What's that supposed to mean, huh?" said Bakugo. "Are you quirkless then?" "No, Bakugo-san, I am not quirkless, but I have no use to flaunt its abilities like all others do." "Young hero?" asked Uraraka. "Yeah, he just turned 20. 20? Why is a kid teaching us?" growled out Bakugo. "Age is irrelevant here, you should all know that. What matters is that the principal and a handful of heroes have vouched for his skills and sent him here as a teacher. Trust in your teachers and trust in the school's judgment. Get going to the next area," said Aizawa, sending off the students. Naruto rubbed the back of his head sheepishly. "Thanks, Aizawa. Don't let them goad you like that. I know you like to play around, but if they start to think less of you, then your teaching job is basically forfeited at that point." "Oh, you do care about me," said Naruto with a stupid grin. "Don't mistake my intentions, you just look really good on insurance with your quirk." "With Midoriya." Finally, time to head home. Said Izuku, stretching out a little as Iida and Uraraka made it inside the train. They immediately noticed Naruto was standing on the other end of the train. Hey, I never noticed Sensei took the train. I wonder if he lives close, said Iida. Now that you mention it, I've seen him on here, but he never gets off before I do and I live pretty far out, said Uraraka. Midoriya-san, did that thing you read say anything about his quirk? I really want to know how he got the job at such a young age, said Iida, and then Izuku adopted a thinking pose before speaking. All it said was his quirk was called Blessing and it didn't give any description. I tried looking around to update my hero list, but apparently no one knows what it is. It's a multi-functioning ability I inherited similar to how Shoto got his abilities from his parents, said Naruto, suddenly standing behind the group. Uraraka jumped back and waved her hands as sorry for being so nosy, sensei. Naruto smiled and waved off the nervous and surprised teens. No trouble, it baffles a lot, but I'll let you know this. Only the principal and a few teachers know my quirk, so don't try snooping, you won't find anything. My quirk would make me a target and being a teacher wouldn't help with an X on my back anywhere I went. Midoriya's eyes sparkled. Whoa, yours must be super cool. Naruto chuckled and smiled brightly. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Maybe one day you'll get to see some of it. Some? What kind of quirk does sensei possess? Thought Iida. His sensei was very young to be teaching at UA, and without a known quirk, his ability must be high to be left to teach the top class of newest students. Midoriya was right, their sensei was cool. Sensei? Where do you live? So forward. Thought Uraraka and Midoriya. Just west of here, a small town outside the city. It's a quiet place and I like the peaceful atmosphere better than the cluster of the city. That's a long ride though, sensei, said Iida, and Naruto shrugged. I don't see it as an issue, I enjoy the ride there and back. It's normally peaceful since I'm the last stop on the train. On cue, the doors opened and both Uraraka and Iida moved to step off. We'll see you all tomorrow. Said Uraraka, waving goodbye before the doors closed and the train took off once again. So, you're the kid All Might entrusted One for All into? Said Naruto quietly, making Midoriya tense. No one really knew, even his mother. How? I'm friends with him, he's one of the guys who got me this teaching job and pushed for me to enter in the first place. I'm not going to go around spewing your secret, but it seems you've done a good job keeping them. Naruto sighed and scratched the back of his head. I guess I owe you one since I know a secret about you. Izuku waved his hands desperately and no, it's not that big of a deal, I promise. Naruto leaned in, ignoring the boy's words. Blessing is an ability passed down nearly as your quirk is. I gained it and learned from it when I was just a few years younger than you are now. Don't be discouraged about your current level, you'll improve more than you ever thought possible. As he finished, the door opened once more and Naruto ushered him out. I'll see you tomorrow, Midoriya-san, said Naruto with a smile before the train took off once more. Izuku stood, dumbfounded as his brain processed the information. A moment later, so cool. Was heard by everyone at the train stop. But Naruto. The blonde man stepped off at the last stop and looked around. The street lights were the only thing illuminating the area and he let out a soft breath. This was much more preferable than the crowded city, but he needed to pay bills somehow. Taking off, he started his walk down the steps and across the street to a plot of land where a small house stood all alone. It had seen better days, the paint was faded and it could use a new pathway, but it did the job just fine for the time being. Quietly, he slid the door open and stepped in, sliding his shoes off and moving into slippers as he slowly shut the door. Nothing but the sound of house slippers was heard as he placed his bag down near the hallway and grabbed a plate from the cupboard. He portioned out a small cup of leftover rice and fish from the fridge and poured a glass of milk before finally taking a seat at the table. He pulled up his phone and read through the new emails from the school, placing things in proper folders before popping up to the news. He saw Endeavor had beaten another group of human traffickers and not even right after that was a picture of him stepping out of the school. New staff at UA. The newest and youngest pro hero takes a front row spot at the country's top school for aspiring heroes. The man groaned loudly. Just great, I'm already in the papers and I barely made it past day one. This is the exact thing I didn't want, but I guess it would have happened anyway, Najin. Naruto looked to the hallway leading farther into the house as a woman slowly walked out, holding an IV stand. Her body, once adored by guys and girls alike, had fallen frail and weak. She was extremely thin and her vibrant blonde hair had turned dark from the lack of sun. The woman's dress had little more, a plain gray one-piece that clung closely to her skinny, yet still obviously endowed, body. She smiled softly, blue eyes like Naruto's still as vibrant as her soul. You'll come to enjoy it, it's just your personality. You were a very needy teen, and I'm sure you haven't grown out of that just yet. She laughed softly, filling the once dead room with a bit of joy as she sat down at the table now lit from the overhead light. You talk as if you're an old woman, but you're just barely under a decade older than me. How are you feeling? I assume you've eaten. Jean sighed. I tried, but I couldn't eat much before I felt I was going to be sick, so I stopped. Yeah, but that's better than yesterday, said the blonde with a smile, his mouth full of food making her giggle a little. I suppose, but you know this won't go away. It's just past 9 years now and I'm finally able to put my own clothes on and walk on my own. Well, I'll always be here to help you even if you can't do those things. Rain, snow, sunshine, I'm here as promised and you know I never go back on my promises. Jean smiled, but it faded. I know you don't, but you're a hero now. What if you don't make it back one day? Then I guess I'll just beat the Shinigami around till he lets me back up here so I can trudge on back home, said the blonde, as if it was the simplest solution in the world. Jean smiled at first, then began to giggle, and before she knew it, she was laughing louder than she ever remembered. Naruto on the other hand was thoroughly confused. What? Did I say the wrong thing? The blonde-haired woman toned her laughing down and waved a hand. No, you just made something impossible seem like a walk in the park and it's just so perfectly you. Only you could make a statement like that so casually. I wish I could help you more, I just wish I wasn't as I am now. Naruto finished his meal and walked over to her side of the table, kneeling before her. Everything you've done has led you to this moment. Now I can teach the hope of tomorrow something that may keep them alive in a decade or two. You may not see it so, but I see it as you once did and how you still need to. Naruto leaned in close to her, pressing his forehead against hers before he spoke once more. Oh Kami, thank you for the gift you've given me, for the blessing bestowed upon me by my savior in your will. If you may spare your power, Yakushi-sama, please bestow your blessing upon Jean. Naruto glowed softly as he spoke, power resonated through him as it slowly began to transfer to Jean, and her body took on the glow he had moments ago. Slowly, as seconds passed, it faded and the woman sighed in content. My lord's blessing and power may have left me, but yours still shows kindness in assisting my illness. He has no bias, Jean, I am only a vessel to transfer the word and power bestowed to me. Let's get some rest though, I've got to get up early. I feel like our friend at UA needs a little prank to start the day off, said Naruto, a devilish grin set on his face as the woman shook her head and prayed it wouldn't be a terribly bad prank. She'd seen the aftermath of some of them and he didn't know the meaning of overkill in the slightest. Chapter 2. Izuku sat nervously in his seat, his palms were sweaty, his knees weak, arms heavy, and he forgot his mom's spaghetti at home. Everyone was fairly active, talking or studying up as they sat waiting for their English teacher. The door slowly opened and in walked Present Mick. Only something was very wrong. His entire wardrobe was dyed bright pink. Everything. Even his bag. WWW, what did sensei do with that dye I got him? Thought Midoriya, thinking back to his conversation with his teacher from earlier. Flashback. Midoriya watched everyone see the results and their teacher announcing the expulsion was just a joke to rile them up. As the rest of the students filed down towards the school to change back, Naruto waved for him to wait. Midoriya-san, I do regret to inform you that you were last, so there is a little punishment involved here. You get an allowance, I assume. Yeah? Midoriya looked more confused. Was the man trying to stiff him for money? What kind of yakuza technique was this? I need you to go down to the convenience store and buy a bottle of pink dye. Then, early in the morning, leave it right in front of this door near the station. Why, sensei? Naruto just smiled. It's just for fun. Promise. Don't tell a soul though, you'll understand when you get to the first class in the morning. Oh okay, I will. Then flashback. Deku fully understood the meaning. Oh no, this was his fault. Why did it have to be a teacher he had? No one speaks of this and everyone gets a free 100 as a quiz grade. The entire class stayed dead silent for the entire time they were in there. No one spoke about it, no one even spoke to each other. Free 100 and a quiz grade. It was then many students realized how powerful teachers really are for students. As the class ended, Present Mick walked out, leaving them to wait for their new class teacher. The hero basic training, of course, rumored to be taught by All Might himself this year for class 1A. Of course, that was shattered too as Naruto walked through the door. Sensei, why are you here? Are you teaching this course too? Asked Kirishima. Naruto shook his head, walking to the window before opening one side of it. As if on K, a blur shot through and skidding to a stop at the front of the class. The towering figure stood tall, his muscular form easily recognizable. Whispers of his name circled the classroom, and even the usually grumpy Bakugo showed excitement in seeing the top hero standing before them. Hello, aspiring heroes. I will be your head teacher for the class with your homeroom teacher Naruto as an assistant. Why are you teaching 2 classes, Uzumaki-sensei? Asked Yaoi Rozu. All Might here has dealt with all manner of heroes and villains and their quirks. I don't have much experience with it. I'll be assisting to gain more experience teaching, to assist All Might in a course where he may not be able to be everywhere at once, and to start building a plan to individually help each one of you with your quirks. The last bit requires me to see more of everyone's abilities as much as I can before I can start laying groundwork. You'll see me more as a referee in many instances, so All Might can keep an eye on the bigger picture of how things are going. Correct, Uzumaki-kun. Now, to your right is the costumes we created based off of what you sent to the school. Get dressed and head to ground beta once you're ready so we may begin the first day. Huo. With a leap, he disappeared once more through the window, and Naruto closed it off and headed to the door. Try to make decent time, nah. If it takes more than 10 minutes I'll start dragging you all there, no matter how dressed you are. The excitement died off nearly immediately as everyone suddenly rushed to their suit's case. Naruto surveyed the group in front of him. They had all just made it out, Izuku barely making it towards the end of the time he gave them. He was surprised, everyone seemed to have a decent idea on what would have worked best with their quirk. Some were a little off-putting, Uraraka's was odd, but fit her personality if nothing. Now, if Midoriya changed his color palette a little he might just be a mini All Might, and it was clear the original noticed as he was trying his best to stifle a laugh. Now then, today is combat training. Is this why we are outside where we tested for the entrance exam? Asked Uraraka and All Might shook his head. Even if most villain fights take place outside there is a higher ratio of stronger villains appearing indoors, which is where we will base our drill today. I will separate you all in teams of 2, one being villains, the other, heroes. Naruto spoke next. The villains are to protect a bomb, making sure no hero touches the object. That can be stalling or fighting till time runs out. A hero can either slip past the villain, try to separate the two or restrain both of them resulting in a pass. You have 15 minutes to finish. I'll call out teams, and All Might will pick the 2 who go first. Naruto passed through his notes and stopped, calling out each team group one by one, before looking to the burly man as he pulled out 2 lettered balls from separate ballots. Team A, Uraraka and Midoriya as heroes will Team D with Bakugo and Iida playing villains. Everyone else, please move to the surveillance room as the 2 teams prepare. Team D, follow me to the building please. Naruto led Bakugo and Iida, leaving Izuku and Uraraka alone. Nana, what's your plan Deku-kun? Asked the peppy girl. Deku nervously scratched his head and turned his head knowing Kachin, he'll hunt us down before we can even search for the bomb. So, I'll take him on and you try to pass by and search for the bomb. With Iida, you might be able to sneak by or use my fighting to distract him enough and get to the bomb. Uraraka continued to stare at him making the boy blush harder. What? The girl smiled at him. That's a really good plan, Deku-kun. I'll do my best. Deku felt butterflies jitter around in his stomach seeing her smile. Thank you. As he spoke Naruto walked back out from the building and stood in front of the team to hand them each an earpiece. They pushed it in and immediately heard All Might's voice. Both villains are stationed somewhere inside and ready to intercept. Uzumaki-kun is on standby and will follow where he sees fit. However, added with my word, he has the power to stop a match where he sees fit or to break up a move that may kill. Now, let's begin. Deku and Uraraka quickly moved to the side, taking an entrance through an open window instead of the front door. Taking an alternative route versus the front, off to a good start thought Naruto as he jumped in behind them. He stayed a few steps behind from them. He needed to stay within a helpful range, but if he got too far he'd be defeating the purpose of even being there. Of course, he was glad he kept a little extra distance as an explosion went off. Not to the blonde's surprise, Bakugo appeared from it, grinning as he swung a wide right arm about. Naruto was pleasantly surprised to see Izuku reacted as if he knew it was going to happen. He let the fist go past, grabbed the arm, lined up Bakugo's chest with his back then in one fluid motion, flipped the boy over his shoulder and slammed him right into the ground. That had to hurt his pride thought Naruto, looking at the downed blonde. Uraraka-san, go. I'll handle him. Shouted Midoriya to his teammate. She nodded and rushed off, right as Bakugo sent a flying leg kick to her teammate's head. Why are you looking away? I'm not. Shouted Midoriya before using the capture tape to swing Bakugo across the room before taking off down hall where his opponent couldn't see him. Naruto kept his gaze on the young blonde in front of him. Right now, he saw no one else that needed his presence than Bakugo. He was one he'd need to step in to stop a fight. The boy looked to him. What? Naruto shook his head. I'm only here watch and intervene if things get bad. Currently, no one has intercepted anyone else so there's no need to follow anyone. Act as if I'm not here. TCH, whatever. With a growl, the boy stormed off. He began to breach every room, one by one searching for Izuku. Where are you, Deku? You were just a pebble a month ago, nothing more. Just a pebble. Thought Bakugo, his hands crackling as he began to ascend to the next story. Usually anger is a blinding factor but not in his case. It's pride with a slight mix of anger which is only fueling his pride as his anger grows. This may get ugly when they meet again thought Naruto, casually walking behind his student. A few minutes later, just that happened. Midoriya took a tense, shaky fighting stance as Bakugo lifted his right arm with a grin. You stalk me so you should know my quirk lets me sweat nitroglycerin and if this works properly, it stores it so I can launch it off without using my quirk. The blonde pulled part of the grenade handle back, showing a pin as he placed a finger in it. You better dodge Deku. Young Bakugo, stop. You'll kill him. Said All Might through the mic. Not if I don't hit him. Just as he pulled the pin a hand suddenly pressed his against his gauntlet and ice blue eyes greeted him. I believe the head instructor asked you to stop, Bakugo-san. Do not ignore his words. This isn't a death battle. If I see you trying to use that again or you disobey your instructor your team will lose immediately. The boy struggled slightly against the hand, trying to pull it free, which only got a harsher glare from the homeroom teacher. Do not make me repeat myself, Kitsuki. I will put you down if you continue. Is that clear? After a few more seconds the boy sighed loudly and stopped resisting. Yeah. Naruto let go and stepped out of the way. You may continue now. As soon as he spoke Bakugo exploded in a rage. Pisted as then, Deku. In a sprint aided by his explosions he slammed into the boy and sent them into the room across the hall. Keep on them, Naruto-san. I see nothing life-threatening happening with the other two above you said All Might through the earpiece and Naruto nodded his head, continuing to the room the two teens went into. He watched a small battle, one-sided as it was. Bakugo was greater in nearly every way in the physical aspect. His speed, strength and even natural combat ability was amazing. His quirk only amplified it all, while Izuku was only doing what he could without a quirk. However, something seemed off. Even as the boy was being beaten over and over, he stood and kept trying to make it across the room. He wasn't trying to escape the room, only getting to the other side, and Naruto noticed it then. Is he trying to send Bakugo out of the window or is there another plan? Either way, he's got something going on here. Against his better judgment, he let things play out. He watched the one-sided battle continue for a few more blows before Izuku gained just a little more distance to the far end of the room. His opponent gave him no reprieve and they both charged one another with intent to meet in the middle. Naruto-san, stop th. Just watch. Naruto made no move and he knew All Might wouldn't make it here in time to begin with. Naruto held faith, he saw the drive in Midoriya's eyes. Uraraka-san, get ready. Shouted the green-clothed boy before his right arm lit up with one for all. A moment later, he was engulfed in an explosion as the next 2 stories of building were sent flying into the air from Izuku's punch. A moment later, everyone's headset lit up. Hero team wins. Naruto watched Izuku speak, talking to Bakugo before he fell to the ground in a cold heap. His body was pushed too hard and finally gave in after he used his quirk. Naruto took this time to step in, moving to face Bakugo. That is conviction, Bakugo-san. Your fellow student acknowledged your strength and used everything at his disposal to win the match. He knew he couldn't beat you head-on, so he found a way to work around it and still win. Take that and reflect on it. You did well, just as he did. Take what you've gained and… Shut up. Naruto raised an eyebrow. Excuse me? I said shut you. Bakugo stopped the moment he looked up. He felt like he was drowning right now, as if the entire weight of the ocean suddenly crashed down on him in the blink of an eye. He couldn't even breathe, his focus to the surrounding area was shot and all his mind could seem to think of the man in front of him. His cold eyes looked at him from above as an ant. As if he was nothing more than a speck of dirt on the walk home. Slowly, he leaned in and whispered in his ear. Follow me, now. I will not ask a second time. The weight dispersed, but the threat of something still hung in the air. Naruto walked out of the building, letting the medical robots pass by, as well as All Might. Only exchanging a few words and apologizing for leaving before heading a block over and into a small cafe-like building for privacy. Naruto pulled a chair out, sat in another, motioning for the boy to sit. Silently, he did as such without speaking a word. Naruto sighed. I apologize for straining your psyche like that, but your pride blocks any attempt at regular means of reason. Tell me, Bakugo-san, why are you so bent up about Midoriya-san? What's causing all this anger? Bakugo clenched his fist and spoke through gritted teeth. He lied to me, underestimated me for years. He hid his quirk thinking I wasn't worth his time, like I was weak. Next time, I'll… Naruto held up a hand and the boy stopped. He didn't want to feel what he felt earlier. He never hid it from you, he simply manifested at a much later stage. Why are you angry? He's one of the few to develop his ability last. Isn't he already starting on a crutch? He still never used it against me. He said he wouldn't. Right until the very end, then he took my blast and injured himself just to beat me. He beat me. Me. A hand came up once more and the boy kept his mouth shut, but his anger was still raging. You injured him, Bakugo-san. Greatly. If you had let your grenade go off, you may have permanently damaged his body had it not worked as intended. Are you truly okay with that? Knowing you nearly killed someone that's looked up to you your entire friendship and only wants to become better than the friend he's only seen ahead of him. The boy said nothing, his mind racked with possibilities, but Naruto motioned for him to speak. No. No, what? I'm at a loss No, I wouldn't have been okay killing him. I'm not a villain, but I want to be the best. To take down the guys that do enjoy that stuff. I want to be the best. The strongest. The strongest doesn't get there simply by tossing your friends and teammates aside as you do. You someone to have your back while you train and become stronger, otherwise Naruto's look became dark. You'll only drown if you try swimming up a waterfall alone. Is this making sense? Bakugo was begrudged to admit it. Yeah, it does, but it doesn't mean I have to like it. Naruto smiled. Fair enough, I'm only trying to warn you as a teacher who's seen more than you'd believe. I just don't want to see you fall behind or drop into the wrong life because of your pride. If you can use it to benefit both you and yourself, you'll be one of the best heroes around. Naruto stood and held out a hand. I think you have a lot of potential, but you need to learn to use it properly. I'm your teacher nonetheless, and I'm here to help whenever you need it. Bakugo looked to him, then to his hand. He seemed to wander in his own mind for a few moments before grabbing the hand and standing up. Naruto moved to the door, but just before he opened it his student spoke. No one's ever spoken to me, one-on-one. They just leave me alone, or let me go off as I please. Thank you, Naruto. The taller blonde turned and smiled. That's Naruto-sensei, to you. Shut it. Growled out the boy, earning a laugh from the teacher as they began to trek back. That day, Naruto truly felt as if he'd done something truly good. The battle with Bakugo was far from over, by a long shot, but this was a major step in the right direction. Naruto only hoped he'd be able to make sure everyone in his class got some one-on-one time as Bakugo did today. Having lost track of time as the two spoke, Naruto returned to see everyone filling away to change and head home. Head off and change, Bakugo-san. Just remember, anytime you need something I'm here for you, and that's a promise of a lifetime. Yeah, I know, said Bakugo, waving off his teacher as he walked to the changing room. Seems like you found a favorite student, said All Might, returning to his original form. Not necessarily, more the most problematic of the bunch. I'll have to spend a lot more hands-on time with him than anyone else I could think of. His pride has taken a huge blow, and my rough handling of him didn't help him after such a defeat. I think I got through to him well enough though, but we won't know till more time passes. Let's just hope I wasn't too rough on him, said Naruto, scratching the back of his head with a sheepish smile. Not everyone can be dealt with the same way, and with that boy, things will only be harder no matter how you look at it. His pride took a major blow today, but you picked up the pieces almost immediately and broke down what he really needed to hear. At least we know he has a heart in there, not just a rage to be number one. Naruto gave him a knowing look. You were listening in on my headset, weren't you? Haha, I just didn't want you saying the wrong thing to make it all worse. To be honest, I was too worried my overbearing stature and power would only cause him to close me off more. You are near their age and understand more how they think than a lot of teachers do. You are a great asset to these up-and-coming heroes. Keep it up, Uzumaki-kun. You already have the mentality of a great teacher. Naruto sighed. I hope I do. If I truly want them to strive, I need to do everything in my power to keep them on track. I don't want to have to face off against them in 10 years. No teacher does, and I'm sure neither do other students. Here's the tapes for you to review over, hope it helps. Naruto took them and placed the USP in his pocket. It'll give me more to work with on each individual and not just focus on the group as a whole. I'll see you another time, Toshinori-san. Farewell, Uzumaki-kun. The blonde kept to himself as he walked towards the train station. He took to the back streets, thinking about the events of today when he noticed what seemed to be a scuffle off in the corner near the other end of the alleyway. A moment later, someone was shoved down and a woman screamed before a figure started to rush in his direction. Naruto kept his attention elsewhere at first, meaning to let the man pass and help the woman back up. He couldn't save everyone and everything, and it was only sheer luck he was here at this exact time. He remembered exactly what Jean had told him. If you save every person you see, you have to save everyone else you hear and so forth. That's the job of a hero. You opted to be a teacher, not a hero. To dedicate all your time and effort into bettering the future and casting aside your want to help everyone around you. That is your burden. To give everything into one meaning, into one sole objective, and atone for the sins you will commit in that way. Jean's way was hard to understand at first, but once she began to reveal more about herself and how she had to do things, it was easier to understand. As well as the reason he took up the title of Saint Ruler. He was a saint at heart, but he was blessed with the hand of a ruler. He would follow his path with unwavering conviction, using the blessings bestowed to him to teach his students and smite any who would dare destroy their future. Besides, trying to keep his powers a secret wouldn't do him any good fighting every villain he comes across. However, as the figure closed in, Naruto saw a school bag and noticed the face of the girl from his school. Of all the people, thought Naruto as he let out a sigh as the thief was within reaching distance. Out of the way. An arm covered in jagged stone extended out to shove him, but it never made it far. The next thing the thief saw was black as he was knocked out cold with a devastating punch to the chest. The force from the blow sent his body across the alleyway and skidding to a stop just a few feet from his victim. The blonde slowly walked forward, grabbing the dropped bag and holding a hand out to the downed student. She accepted it with a quiet thank you, then noticed his face more as he handed her his bag. "Ah, you're the new teacher at UA. Thank you so much, sensei." Naruto waved her off with a smile. "No worries, just head on home and try to stick to safer areas next time." "Yes, sir. Are you gonna take care of that guy?" "I'll be sure he's taken care of," said Naruto and ushered her on, watching her disappear into the crowd before he spared a glance at the downed man and continued on. He cared little for petty thieves like that guy, and locking him up would only keep him detained for a few months at best. He had better things to do than babysit a log as police showed up. A patrol should find him soon enough, or a concerned citizen would call it in. Either way, it wasn't his problem anymore, so he continued towards the train and headed home. Having left a little later than normal, the ride home was quiet and spacious. He resumed thinking over the day until he arrived back at his house. "I'm home," said Naruto as he walked in, setting his bag down and pulling out his laptop and plugging in the USB. Jean slowly made her way out and sat down next to him at the table, handing him a bowl of rice and some miso soup. "Thank you, Jean. How are you?" "Same as usual, I ate a little today, but I did get some cleaning done around the house." Naruto smiled. "I'm just glad you can eat and move around these past few months. We can only hope it'll get better from here. Wanna watch while I go over the students' first hero prep class?" "Sure. I'd like to see how this world's power system for children is. Are you sure you can have tomorrow off?" "I already got Izawa to cover while I take you to town for your checkup. Let's just get his over and get some rest. I know you don't like going in there. Like, that place needs a few harsh words and a reality check with how they take their time." Okay, I get it," laughed Naruto, turning the video on and pulling out a notebook to take notes with. Chapter 3. Jean let out a lengthy sigh, finally sitting down as Naruto glared at her. "I told you, this is degrading now that I can walk. Barely, without a cane, and it'd take us over half a day just to get from the train station to the clinic to get checked up. It's faster and better for you, so you don't go getting hurt." The woman shrugged. "What's it matter? I'm going to the clinic anyway, so they'd fix me up. Besides, you'd get to carry me like a princess." Her sweet smile could fell armies and start a revolution, but not a Naruto. His stern gaze never wavered. "Nice try, maybe 3 years ago that might have faltered me, but not today. Hahaha," gloated Naruto, laughing like some dictator with his hand set on his hips. Jean took a new pose, holding her arms below her breasts, letting a strap of her gown slid off said arm and reveal much more skin than normal. A blush formed as she looked away shyly, a few tears brimming for added effect. "Why, you mean you don't see me as a beautiful woman anymore? Has my sickness even robbed me of my looks along with my mobility?" All jokes stopped then, and Naruto's blush came in full force as he averted his eyes. "And then no. You still look amazing. I was just playing around, promise." Like a switch, she was back to her old self. "Good. Now let's get going." She giggled a little, seeing his realization that he was defeated in such an easy manner, sulking to grab a bag nearby before clipping it on the wheelchair and heading towards the train station. "Besides, you enjoy making me push you around anyway, and you know that," said Naruto, watching as the train made its way towards them. "I have no idea what you're talking about." Naruto rolled his eyes, making sure she didn't see before the train approached and the doors opened. He took the handicap space and set her there, taking a seat right next to her before letting the doors shut. Jean enjoyed the ride, she always did. She liked to see the passing buildings, the lights, the city she never really got to enjoy out in the country. They were safer there, yes. It was easier for her to access things, less of an issue of being robbed as well with rarely anyone nearby, but the city was just so exciting. It was all a wonder to her, and she was still getting used to it all. As quickly as she got into the train, Naruto was pushing her out and down the ramp, carting them out of the station and out into the open area once more. "This isn't where we normally get off, is it?" "I don't remember a lot of this stuff," said Jean, looking around. "It is, but a villain recently appeared and heroes took it down, but made a mess of things. We've got an extra hour before we need to make it there, and that coffee shop is nearby if you want to try something sweet." Jean smiled. "I'd love to." Her eyes followed the multitude of moving things, still in awe at the world's marvels. Naruto Simple enjoyed taking her around the city, letting her try a few new things each visit she took once a month to get here. He only hoped one day she could move on her own and explore the world instead of just this one little city. His thoughts were cut as he noticed the coffee shop just up ahead and got her attention. "Want to sit outside this time?" "Sure, but take me in line first. I want to see what they have." "Yes, ma'am." So he did as requested and brought her inside, letting her browse the menu before getting up to the counter, and the barista stepped back to the register. "What would you like?" "Mango green tea with peach boba and a slice of lemon cake." "For you, sir." "Pina colada with mango boba and a slice of lemon cake as well." The woman finished typing in the order and Naruto swiped his card, pushing Jean to a wheelchair-accessible table nearby. As they sat, Jean looked to Naruto with a smile. "Okay, let's head home after this. We got everything we need done." Naruto looked unamused. Sure. I just need to stop by this place down the street first." Jean, genuinely lost, tilted her head. "What for?" "So we can go meet an old friend." Her eyes lit up. "Who?" "Your doctor." Her excitement crashed and she visibly deflated being caught in such an obvious joke. She kept looking down, right until their drinks and food arrived, then beyond. She picked at her food, barely drank much, and as Naruto finished up his food he looked to her. "Stop pouting, I do have an actual surprise after this though." "A super secret surprise," said Naruto with a smile, cracking away at her down mood. "Is it fun?" Naruto hummed. "Possibly, but more entertaining for you, but you should have some fun. Stick through the doctor visit and you'll see." "Promise?" asked Jean. Naruto smiled. "Promise." She returned his bright smile and happily finished up her food. Once she finished up, Naruto stood and placed both drinks in holders set on the wheelchair before taking them off towards the doctor's office. "It's nice." "What?" asked Naruto. "Days like this, where it's just us." "Oh, is someone being a little stingy with me now?" Jean had the decency to blush a little. "Why yeah, a little. You were out so much training all the way up until you got this job. Now you're just at your job all day and it doesn't leave me with much to do. I enjoy your company, some company." Naruto let her simmer with her thought as he crossed the street and entered a small shop. He waved to the owner and passed through, moving to a door at the far end of the small convenience store. He moved in front of Jean and knocked. As he waited, he turned to her. "I might need your help with some paperwork and other projects up at the school soon. Would you mind getting up early when you feel well enough to help me?" Her demeanor once more lit up. "Why yes, of course." Naruto nodded his head with a goofy grin. "Then it's a deal." A moment later the door opened and a burly man covered nearly the entire doorway. "Appointment for Mercury." He grunted and shifted to the side, turning to lead them down a ramp and into a massive shelter that seemed more like a high-tech military base than a basement. "How are you, Finn?" "I okay, just hungry," slurred the man, his jaw clearly unhinged on one side. From the looks, he seemed to have taken a severe hit on the right side of his face, taking his eye and a good portion of that side of his face. Only white scarring remained, but the damage done to his jaw was unrepairable. "I told you, come with us to lunch," said Jean, smiling as brightly as ever, and the man blushed, scratching the side of his cheek. "Been better here, no there." "Nonsense, I'd love to take you out." The man's blush only darkened and Naruto shook his head with a smile. She always did this to him, making him blush like a schoolgirl, but he enjoyed it. He rarely saw anyone polite here and Jean loved to give him attention. She saw him as a kind soul, one she was intent to befriend even the moment they met. Their brief exchange cut off as they arrived at a large open room with a regular hospital bed, among other amenities. In a flash, a young woman slid across the room on a large office chair in a comical scene. It slid across, slowly rolling around till she slowed and stopped right in front of the group. Her surprised face and Naruto's urge to not crack up laughing summed up the situation. She suddenly jumped out of the chair. "What are you doing here?" "Our appointment is today, you crazy woman," said Naruto in a deadpan voice. "That's today," responded the woman, running to her calendar and seeing a big note that read "Flashlight and Princess" on today's date. She spun, her long white tresses nearly scraping the floor as she faced the two. "Very well, I'll make time in my busy schedule to fit you in. Now, sit her on the table please." Naruto only made a face that was a mix between irritation and surprise before walking Jean towards the table and leaving the chair near the hospital bed. As the white-haired woman tossed her lab coat on over her plain black dress, she noticed Finn seemed to be on the verge of tears. She followed his line of sight quickly and her eyes widened seeing Jean slowly walking from the chair and setting herself on the hospital bed. Once she had gotten herself all the way on, she looked at the two and smiled. "I've gotten better by leaps and bounds like I promised." Finn, being as he was, sniffled and rubbed his tears away. He was truly happy she was finally able to do more than become latched to that chair she detested so much. The woman, happy as she was, continued with her prep work and washed her hands before ushering Finn back to the door. "I'll summon for you in a few minutes, so please contain your excitement." "Yes, Miss Mercury," said Finn, his eyes still glassy as he turned away and the woman only known as Alpine walked up to Jean. "Tell me, how is everything holding up? You improved drastically, extremely so, in nearly a month." Jean only averted her eyes. "I don't know. Truly, I did nothing different, nor did I lessen my workload from normal house duties and eating schedules. Alpine stood and looked at a Bunsen burner that was currently heating up a cup of strange liquid. I need at least another 30 minutes to finish this month's medicine. Can you take Finn outside for some lunch while I speak with Naruto? He seems to withhold important information on the current happenings of the outside world when you're around. Jean shot him a glare and he quickly turned to stare off into another direction. The blonde huffed and slowly got back into her wheelchair, Finn already returning after Mercury called him with a ringer from the bedside. Then, take Jean here for a lunch run to that restaurant across the street. Take some money from the store to pay for everything. Finn's eyes lit up and he shuffled to assist Jean. His large hands gently grabbed the grips and as he made it towards the edge of the room, Mercury spoke again. I'm trusting my patient's safety with you, Finn. Don't disappoint me. No one touch her. I'd hope not, or you'd see an upset Naruto here. You remember the last time that happened. If possible, the big man shuddered and moved up the ramp and out the door, closing it with a loud thud. Tell me Reina, from your glance. How did she seem? She won't speak to me besides the exact same response I get every day, said Naruto, leaning on the bed as she walked to the burner and began to heat up a vial nearby as well. Her body is recovering rapidly, her pace has increased nearly 63% from last month's checkup. Skin has shown an improvements, hair is softer, regaining color, eye color is regaining vibrancy, and nail growth has started up once again. Overall, I believe her body is finally starting to become accustomed. When she found you and brought you here, neither of you looked good. She was barely standing and you nearly died of blood loss before I could assist. When she transferred her powers to you, she had nothing left. My hypothesis is that if she had found you sooner, she may have been able slowly let her residual magic power leave her body, but she used the last of it to transfer over her abilities to you. In a sense, that energy was nearly like blood for her body, and losing it had adverse effects. Now, you see that it is slowly becoming accustomed functioning without it. I believe the same as I said before, she only needs time, but I will change one thing. Her timetable to recover has increased drastically, and if she can begin to eat more, move more, and work her body out, it will settle faster and begin function as it would have without the energy she once had. Now tell me, what's troubling you? You know most everything I already told you, you're a sharp man after all. Why ask me such things? Asked Reina, never taking her eyes of the table full of different vials, tubes and other items, as she began to mix things into the heated liquid. I'm concerned for her mental health. She only sees me most of the time, and before recently, all I did was train off in the mountains. I'm worried it's making her depressed, or at least not letting her body heal properly. I want to take her to school with me sometimes, like I proposed before I got here, but I'm worried it'll only put her in more harm doing that. You think if people see her with you, they'll see it as a weakness to exploit. You keep everything about you closed in, your quirk, powers, and anything personal. You work at UA with a class of aspiring heroes with a few select being highly well-known kids. If they want to weaken you and get past your unrelenting guard, they'd use her. Naruto balled his fists and grit his teeth, his anger staring to boil at just the thought. Both his students and Jean were his world. Reina cut the heater off and poured the now blue liquid into a plastic cup. Once done, she placed a lid on top and sealed it with a wrapping before handing to him. You know, you two are my most valued patients. You know what I say to all those thoughts clouding your head. All that worry. Crush it. Shatter that worry. You are stronger than you realize, and I have faith you'll be able to protect them all. One way or another. However, as your doctor, I recommend you take her out to work when you feel it's safest. She needs more human interaction, and if she can help, say, watch the class while you are taking care of something or offer a study session for history that she knows of, that would benefit her. If you would be so kind to grab her and get Finn back so I can prepare for the next patient in a few hours. Naruto nodded his head and walked towards the door but stopped just before he left the large room. Reina, if something happens to me, promise me you'll take care of Jean. The white-haired woman narrowed her eyes. What are you planning? I have the successor for one for all in my class. I fear things may become more complicated as time continues. I just need to know she'll be taken care of should things take a turn for the worst. Reina sighed. Very well, I promise. He nodded and made his walk to the outside, leaving her alone once more. You better not come in like you did that day again, Naruto. I don't think Jean would handle it very well if she saw you like that again. Flashback. Mercury, the woman who didn't exist, yet cured the uncurable. She appeared only when she felt her expertise was needed. She came to you, you never found her. Her quirk, hyperstudy, allowed her to grasp concepts at an inhuman rate, and her study of focus was medicine. She held the same knowledge as a doctor before the age of 15, by 18 she was hailed as the one to spearhead the next break in the medical field before she suddenly vanished. No one could find her, nothing was left, no note, no ransacked room. She simply disappeared, along with her knowledge. Now, here she was. Locked away just a few dozen miles from her home. All in the name of exploration, all for her freedom. She was free to do as she pleased, explore, test, anything her heart desired. She was shunned for her beliefs in alchemy and its healing properties. So now, after becoming the most wanted ghost in the community, she became a specter to heal those no one else could cure. However, Alpine now stood thoroughly shocked and confused at what stood before her. The woman, blonde hair as vibrant as sun, wearing torn battle gear she'd seen only in medieval pictures of women on the field of battle. Her body seemed okay, she held no outward signs of injury, but she was leaning against a medical table as her only way to stand. A boy was laying there, his features nearly mistaking them for parents, had she not looked so out of place. He was hooked up to a mass of machines, monitoring his already slowing heartbeat. So you are some hero expert tossed out, for reasons unknown to you, and this boy has the aptitude to hold your power. You've lost your way to regain energy without this grail to support you, so you want to hand over blessing to him before you lose all of your magically energy. Is that correct? Yes you are. I need someone to make sure he's okay once I transfer my power. I don't know if I'll even make it through this. Reina's mind ran through everything it could, all her files, every bit of information to make something logical out of this, but nothing came to her. She tried and tried again, but nothing worked. Even Finn, normally talkative with new people, was quiet as a mouse in the background. She continued to rack her brain, all the mass amounts of knowledge piling around her as she sorted for anything, but it halted when the woman moved. She brought her hand up to the boy's chest, where a massive gash was, and placed her hand just above it before she began to speak. "O Lord, my God in heaven, hear my words. I ask of you, as my last act, Jeanne d'Arc, to relinquish your gift from myself and transfer it to this child. His body sings of power not of this world, not of this era, as mine does. Save his life, so he may work under your name as I have. O Lord, my God in heaven, grant me this last request. I relinquish thy power and thy blessing unto this child. Amen." Her body glowed even brighter than her hair, and it began to fade, just as a small orb began to form from her hand. Slowly, it grew and grew until it reached the size of a golf ball. With one final push, she placed her hand on his chest and pushed the orb into his body before the room was enveloped in light. It lasted only a moment, and the light subsided with a snap as the scene before Reina had changed. Jeanne had collapsed, her body in a heap near the table. The boy had changed, his wound no longer bled, and his heart rate had become stable once more. His breathing regained rhythm. A split second later, she was moving to the woman's side, a hand on her neck to check for life. Reina sighed, she could feel it faintly, the woman lived, but she had no energy left, just as she said. "Then, go get me another bed for our guest. We'll be having company for a while." "Yesham," said the burly man, his entire right side covered in bandages. "You better not go dying on me, you crazy woman. I don't know what the hell just happened, but this boy needs you. Finn, hurry with the bed." Then flashback. Reina remembered everything after that, of course. Naruto was up and moving, seemingly new and improved, as Jeanne was left bedridden for some time. From there, her recovery started, and only 2 years ago had the duo moved away under Mercury's orders. Jeanne needed independence, and Naruto was beginning to bring too much trouble with his powers growing rapidly with Jeanne's tutelage. Even bedridden, she taught him the ways to wield her power, a power that became his own as time passed. Naruto was like herself in a sense, he caught on to certain things at a rapid pace, but as was regarding fighting. Even Jeanne said she was in awe at his pace and abilities, stating he was already at her level right as he was turning 16, but she held no worry. She had faith in the boy and his drive to do what he saw as the best way to help everyone, to nurture the future of the world. Now there he was, teaching the people of tomorrow. Reina only wished she didn't have to worry about the duo day in and out. She would look back on today and wish she said more him, to lift his spirits, boost his morale. She regretted her difficulty to relate to others, only for this sole reason. Jeanne smiled happily once more, Finn was back with Mercury, and Naruto was taking her by train to her surprise. She just wished he'd tell her already, and no begging seemed to work. He wouldn't say a word either. Just start, and if she looked to him he'd glance back and smile. Infuriating. So she did what she usually did if things didn't go her way. Pout. She held steady, all the way up until she was facing a large building with the letters USJ on it. "USJ?" asked Jeanne, not finding any obvious meanings for the letters. Unforeseen simulation joint, a hero practice arena for different disasters and situations that can occur on the job. Jeanne tilted her head in confusion. "You're taking me to watch you train for different scenarios? I thought you weren't going to be a hero." Naruto shook his head. No, just give it a minute. You'll understand soon." So she did, she waited, watching Naruto run through a few stretches to pass the time, as a large bus slowly pulled in minutes later. She held still, watching the door open before familiar faces filed out and gathered around the entrance, and her face lit up in a smile. "I get to watch the training today." said Jean in excitement to Naruto as he walked back to her position. "I told you, you'd love the surprise. I'm here to assist teaching for a while, since a certain someone won't be making it for a few more hours. We won't stay very long, but you'll get to see some action in person instead of on tape," said the blonde, grabbing her chair and pushing her, a few students crowding near them as they let everyone in. "Sensei, who's this?" asked Ida. "A friend of mine, Jean. All Might got wrapped up with the principal, so they asked me to stop by and assist until he could make it down here. She'll be acting as a teaching assist for me the days Aizawa won't be here, so I figured she would benefit seeing you guys in action before she starts later this week." "Oh, cool. She's so pretty and her hair so long," said Ishido, making Jean blush and feel a little self-conscious about her looks. The group of girls in Wana took a liking to her quickly, crowding around her and Naruto before the entire class was inside and 13 spoke. He went over the reasons behind their class's starting days, seeing the reaches of their quirks and how deadly they could be. Then he spoke about USJ and the need to create a simulation area where students could train in a multitude of different scenarios and circumstances. Naruto was listening when Jean grabbed his hands. "Yeah." He looked down, noticed she looked worried, and she was nearly shaking. "Something's coming." Naruto moved to the front of the group and looked down the long flight of stairs. He could feel it now that he was focusing on it. Something was coming. 13, crowd the students together, Aizawa watched the front and 13 can get the back. They were about to ask questions when the lights around the area shut off and a large dark purple portal appeared in front of the water fountain just at the end of the stairs. Slowly, a mass of villains began to walk out of the large portal, but Naruto saw no real threat from the masses in majority. They were all small-time thugs or such, but the three in the back caught his attention. The largest, a muscle-bound monster, a young man with a hand covering his face and someone that matched the same color as the portal. "Aizawa, act as my support and stay close to the children. I'll handle the masses." "Are you sure? If they get past me with that portal user 13 won't be enough," said Naruto, turning to Bakugo. "I'm giving you one mission, Bakugo-san. My friend Jean. Guard her with everything you have, no matter what gets here. Her safety is paramount." Naruto's reasoning was slightly selfish, but if they got a hold of her or even suspected she was with him, they'd take her. Even excluding the things they'd do to her, the tests and realizing she was not from this world would cause more problems than he could deal with. As much as he hated to be locked down, Bakugo nodded. "I'll kill them all if they get close." Naruto smirked. "That's the spirit," and he faced the crowd of villains. "It might be best if you all turned away. I'd rather you not see the way I fight. It's not a hero's game where I come from." Naruto threatened Aizawa, but he received a sharp glare. "I will give them no chances. We are playing to defend these students' lives, taking others can become a necessity. Just focus on keeping those quirks off me while you can." The blonde held his right hand out and the class watched in awe as the watch faded into gold particles, forming a solid spear in his hand. Attached to the top of it was a wrapped white and gold cloth no one could make out. "Don't hold it against me now," whispered Naruto before he took off down the stairs to meet the incoming mass. Chapter 4. Bakugo watched as Naruto descended into the crowd. As Aizawa cancelled quirk after quirk and they fell to the strange polearm he wielded. It was quick work with the pair, only a select few grazes even appeared on his shirt as he danced in the field. The boy was in slight awe. He'd never seen someone move so fluidly in such a hectic situation. It was always a mess of tangled movements and other happenings, but what he saw now seemed as if it was some play he'd watched in middle school. Most certainly not a death battle. That was the other bit that caught his interest. Naruto wasn't doing anything extravagant, but he was certain the man and woman Naruto struck would never get back up. Either in the near future or ever again. It made him realize something. His sensei wasn't as weak as he assumed and he'd yet to reveal his quirk. Bakugo grit his teeth. What could he have done to get to that level? He's barely young enough to have graduated school and he's running circles around these guys without a quirk. His internal dialogue ceased when the woman he was supposed to protect tugged on his shirt. "What?" She pointed towards the doors. "Something's coming." On K, the portal that appeared earlier reappeared between the students and the door. "Hello, students and teachers of UA. It is a pleasure to meet a wonderful basket of golden eggs such as yourself. Before we begin, I would like to state this is nothing personal against you or the school. We only wish to speak with All Might. For now, I'll get to work thinning the crowd." "Well, see about that," said 13. Bakugo growled and wanted to charge the mass of dark purple energy, but he held steady. He had a mission to protect the wheelchair-bound woman next to him against these villains. As angry as it made him, his job as a hero would see him in this situation multiple times. "Have faith in your teacher," said Jean, trying to console the boy she could tell was holding himself back from charging. "It's all about timing, but while you wait look for a weakness," said Jean. The boy grunted but did as she asked, watching as 13 tried to fight the warp gate villain that quickly backfired on himself when he opened a gate from behind and let 13's own attack turn against him. The problem with rescue heroes is the lack of combat experience. A fatal flaw, now time to separate you lot. Just as Aizawa turned to make eye contact, the villain suddenly swarmed the students in a dome of its own energy in the blink of an eye. A moment later, the energy disappeared and only a few students remained. Naruto sensed it before Aizawa said anything. He could see Izuku and 2 others falling into the ocean rescue arena, so he assumed others had gotten separated, but with the massive noise he heard, it wasn't the entire lot. But now, Sensei teased the boy in front of Naruto wearing multiple hands along his body. Naruto's face hardened. Nothing. I'll continue cutting all of you down and trust in my students' abilities. This fodder isn't a threat to anyone. Inside, the blonde was seething. I can only assume Jean got caught up in the mix, but I can't leave the front to go check. I'll just need to hold out long enough for All Might gets here. No one's really a threat in this entire group, only those 2 in the back and the 3rd up there, so the kids should be fine. I need to finish this quickly and help them. Aizawa, get down here. Let's clean this up. Shouted Naruto. The teacher hesitated at first, turning to look at the student left behind from the warp, only to see the warp user had disappeared as Iida broke through the doorway and sped off towards the school. Uraraka turned to Aizawa. Go help Naruto-sensei. We'll keep watch on 13. I'll see to it this is dealt with quickly. Keep close and watch each other's backs. He placed his goggles back on and jumped down the stairs, landing next to Naruto as the blonde gripped his pole arm tightly. Don't get in my way now, said Naruto with a smirk. I should be telling my junior that. Retorted Aizawa, rushing forward with his restraint straps shooting out. But Bakugo. Die. Was heard through the battered building as an explosion pushed the surrounding air back. Are you okay? Kirishima asked Jean, propping her up against the wall as Bakugo stood guard. Jean smiled weakly and nodded yes, just a little bruised from the fall, but I'm okay. Hey, we gotta find a way out of here and get to the others, said Kirishima to Bakugo. Hey? You think I don't know that already? I'll keep point and you carry her. If you're supposed to watch her, then why am I? My quirk causes too much pushback near me. It might hit her if I try to fight like that, and I can take care of most of these guys before they get close. Oh, so you can think. Eh? What'd you say? As Bakugo stepped closer to the 2, Jean felt her sixth sense start to act up. Bakugo, on your before she even finished, his right hand connected with the formerly invisible body of a gecko-like man. The force behind the swing sent him tumbling to the ground in an unconscious heap. Kirishima took that as a sign to grab Jean and prepare to move, but she didn't miss the look of surprise and curiosity Bakugo gave her when she called out that the man was there. Jean knew that was the second time she'd called something out that had yet to reveal itself. He only knew it was there because he could hear the footsteps from where he was, but the blonde woman was too far away to hear them. If she was anything like her friend and his homeroom teacher, she must have some kind of powerful quirk. However, now wasn't the time to contemplate her abilities. He needed to focus on his own so they could make it back to the others. I don't even hear anyone else here. Let's make a run for it, said Kirishima. Go then. Shouted Bakugo. Jean sighed. The boy was gifted in his quirk and natural fighting ability, but his prideful nature caused him to butt heads with everyone at a moment's notice. She only hoped Naruto was faring better than she was. But Naruto. The blonde stood at a standstill. Most of the mob was down, only a handful remained in other areas, but everyone in the main area was no longer an issue. However, the 3 in front of them were beginning to cause him a lot of trouble. They surprised Aizawa from behind and bashed him into the ground before he could step in and rescue Aizawa. Now, he was facing off against a strange creature in front of him with his senior teacher kneeling just to the side of him. What's the plan now? Asked Naruto as he held his defensive posture. Sensei. Is everything okay? Asked Izuku as he ran up with Tsuyu and Mineta. For now, but this quirk is going to get on my nerves. I can't pinpoint what it is. Oh, trying to find ways to defeat Nobu. Haha, good luck. His shock absorption will cancel anything you can throw at him, and he's built to take down All Might with his strength. You can't do anything, said the masked boy in a sickly sweet tone. You have so little faith, said Naruto with a smile back. If there's a will, there is a way. Don't doubt the abilities of people you know next to nothing about. Oh ho, tell me, teacher-san. What makes you think you can compete with him? If I decided to fight you myself with my partner and send Nobu off to the kids behind you, what would you do? Nah, teacher-san, what could you do? Naruto gripped his palm tightly and frowned, his anger beginning to rise. Izuku, fall back with Aizawa to a safe distance. I'll handle the rest from here. But, sensei. Do as you're told, said Naruto, his voice hardened. Midoriya flinched at the sudden edge in his tone, but complied and helped Aizawa get near the stairs right as Bakugo's group and Todoroki met with them. Is he gonna take them all on? Asked Kirishima, placing Jean down on the steps as Bakugo stood to her side. Have faith in your sensei. This is his job, don't doubt his ability, said Izawa, forced down to just one eye now. He took severe damage to his face when that thing slammed into him, but even with one eye he could use his ability. Watch him and know that what he does to keep you safe, said Jean, the calmest one of the group. She showed no fear, no concern, only a straight face as Naruto's back faced them. Perfect. This is perfect. I get to bash someone in and get some merit to my name all in one go. I'm glad you guys made it so easy for me, but I'm more upset you thought it'd be a good idea to go after the kids behind me. Naruto pulled a string that held the banner together on his palm and slammed it into the ground. With that motion the flag unraveled and stood proudly beside him, the white and gold banner holding the same symbol on his necklace. Naruto brought his hands together as if he was praying and closed his eyes. O Lord, high in the heavens above. Grant me thy power so I may smite those who wish to attempt to ransack this noble establishment. Answer my call, Bishamon. There was no explosive power, no grand move, nothing extravagant. Naruto's body only seemed to outline faintly in gold before he brought his hands down and opened his eyes. The large beast tensed, preparing for a fight while his two partners narrowed their eyes. No longer did they stare at ocean blue eyes, now gilded gold looked at them with boredom. Come forth so I may deliver the justice you so greatly deserve, said Naruto, but they didn't move. The two in the back seemed to only be assessing the situation. So he moved first. One step, followed by another, slowly. He made no intention of speeding up either. His pace matched his posture, relaxed and confident. Nomu wiped that smirk off his face. Only a grunt was heard in reply before it shot off like a cannon, barreling towards Naruto. His steps never wavered right until the beast was within a few feet of him. Did his eyes narrow? You'll be a difficult one to deal with. Naruto leaned forward then jumped, letting Nomu run right under him. Just as the being was close to passing him, Naruto brought his legs down right into Nomu's back. A moment later, a shockwave rumbled through the arena and a large dust cloud formed from the blow. When the hell did he get all this power? Shouted Bakugo as both he and Kirishima shielded Jean from the debris blowing past. He's pushing everything he can out right now. His control of his energy is still amazing, transferring every ounce of power he has into each blow to eliminate wasted energy and amplify the output. However, that thing won't go down in a single blow, thought Jean as Naruto jumped backwards and Nomu began to stand back up, slowly. Without that quirk that nullifies my hits like before, you can't take much, said Naruto before he suddenly ducked to avoid a large swipe. Still fast though. From there, Naruto began to see if he could wear down the beast. Dodging blows time and time again, never hitting back and putting all his energy and focus into avoiding the hits. As time passed, nothing changed. It never wavered in its hits in the slightest. It'll take too long to try and drain his stamina, seems it never ends. I guess it's about time. Naruto ducked from another hit and slammed his right fist into Nomu's gut, pushing it back a few dozen feet. Naruto continued with the blows, one after the other, but then he hit and nothing happened. Shit, I forgot about Izawa's injury. In that split second, the Nomu jumped over Naruto and rushed straight for the group. Did you think he'd just keep going for you? No, he knows what's bothering him most and it's not you, sensei, said the masked man in the back. Naruto spun on heel and rushed after the beast, using every ounce of power to his legs in an attempt to catch up, but the Nomu had jumped so far the distance created was greater than he'd expected. He'd just barely not make it in time. Todoroki-san, Bakugo-san. Shouted Izawa. He couldn't defend them in his state, he had to trust his students' quirks in stopping that thing long enough for Naruto to get there. Don't, said Jean, causing them to stop. I told you before, put faith in him. She spoke calmly, her expression never changing from its neutral look. Not a hint of fear, and that rubbed onto the others as they backed off while the Nomu charged. He began too near the pole Naruto had placed in the ground when the blonde shouted. Oh my banner, defend my brethren. Luminicide external. God is here with me. What they saw next could only be described as a car smashing into an immovable wall. The Nomu got within a few feet of the palm before it suddenly began to glow and the beast crashed into some kind of force field. Its body crushed into it and nearly collapsed before it shuffled back and hunched over. Its limited knowledge and thinking capability was trying to comprehend why it was stopped. Nothing stood in its way besides the pole and it was sure it hadn't hit that yet. This isn't really my style, but I guess I can indulge him a little, said Naruto before he slid through Nomu's legs and stopped, his palms on the ground and his legs faced up. Hey Nomu, go beyond. Shouted Naruto, thrusting his legs up and sending the Nomu high into the air. The large doors in the front of the building burst open as a figure suddenly jumped to meet the Nomu in midair. Two words echoed through the building plus ultra. In a single mighty swing, All Might blasted Nomu through the arena covering and high into the sky. Naruto jumped to his feet as the towering figure of All Might dropped down next to him, not a smile to be seen from either. The Kugo wouldn't admit it out loud to anyone, his pride wouldn't allow it, but right now he felt weak. He felt so small, so insignificant just staring at the backs of those two. All Might, a living legend amongst all likes, and his new sensei that just took on something supposedly created just to deal with the hulking man next to him. Just how far was their sensei from them in terms of power? Nice to see you made it just in time to show off, said Naruto, and All Might huffed. If I had known this was happening, I'd been here much quicker. I'll handle them, go. No, snapped Naruto, I'll handle them. You're faster than me, and it won't be much work to save the other kids. Once you finish up, just meet up back here if you still can. Don't worry, they'll be safe. All Might looked behind him, that turned to his right. They weren't the ones I was worried about, but if you say you can, then I'll trust you as a fellow teacher. Don't take too long. DCH, insulting my speed like that. Low blow, said Naruto with a smile as the man disappeared in a burst of speed. Naruto could feel his thunderous movement still, racing across the arena floors to save the scattered students. He let out a sigh, good, they'll be safe soon, and he turned to the others, get going to the front. I'll meet up with you in a few minutes. As soon as he said those words, Aizawa's body fell, finally giving in to the exhaustion and blood loss. Todoroki, Bakugo, cover the escape. Izuku take lead while Asui takes Aizawa with Mineta, and Kirishima takes Chin. Help the others head to the front and wait on the other teachers to arrive. Naruto turned and held out a fist. I'm counting on you right now, so hurry. With the final deceleration, the group quickly got up and began to move towards the stairs as quickly as possible. All while this happened, Jin saw Naruto start to stretch out a little. You can fight unabated now. Show them what they need to fear in you. Show them your faith, the unwavering resolve you showed me. Come back alive. As if he heard her thoughts, Naruto looked ahead but casually held a thumbs on with his left hand. Almost as if he was telling her there was nothing to fear. Of course he would do that, he knew her better than he let on at times and quelled her fears without a second thought. As things are now, I don't see them fighting anymore for the sake of losing more than they already have. However, if I can incite them to go after me, I might be able to surprise them and take them out. Otherwise, I'll play it safe from here. You filthy heroes. Ruining my plans. Shouted the man in the back as his assistant seemed to try to quell him. Shigaraki-kun, please calm down. We need to keep focused on the task at hand and… Oh, what's the task at hand? All Might is healthy and taking out the remainder of your forces while you're left with little to nothing. I'm here as your opponent now if you really feel like battling. That Nomu didn't last long anyway, said Naruto. His casual tone and shrug only infuriated the man even more. I'll come back, I'll find you, and I'll make sure you regret ever existing in the first place. After we take care of All Might, we'll go for you, then those kids you care for so much. Like every other shitty hero. Naruto crossed his arms and stood tall. Try and try again, boy. Each time you come, I'll be here to grind you into the dirt just like today. I'm a teacher after all, I don't mind giving some lessons to a boy who thinks he knows everything. Before it became uglier, the warp gate user quickly retreated with his teammate, which left Naruto alone in the main area. He scanned around, looking for any signs of a threat or life in the scattered bodies of villains before letting out a sigh and returning to his palm. Just as it had appeared, it disappeared into a flow of gold light, reforming back into the watch on his wrist. Taking a moment, the teacher composed himself, dusting off his clothes, rebuttoning his collar, brushing a scuff from his shoe, and scaling the staircase. As he reached the top, Naruto saw the remainder of the class exiting the doors as All Might met up with him. I assume they made a speedy retreat. It seems that way for now. Is everyone okay? Regarding the students, yes. Everyone sustained nothing more than minor hits and scrapes. 13 is going to be hospitalized with Aizawa, but their condition isn't life-threatening, said his fellow teacher as they walked towards the door. I'm glad. I was worried for the students, but I didn't even know 13 had been taken out when Aizawa came down. The police should be arriving in no time at all, said Naruto as they exited just before most of his class swarmed him. Sensei. Are you okay? You fought so many by yourself, but you look okay. We were so worried. Said Mina Shido. I could hear your battle from where we were. You're so strong. Said Kaminari. I'm glad you don't see worse for wear, Uzumaki-sensei, said Momo in the most reserved manner of the rest, but her look spoke volumes of her concern. Naruto couldn't help but return it all with a bright smile. You guys really are just the best. I'm glad you're worries about myself, but I'm more happy to see everyone made it out okay. I'm proud of you all for enduring what you never needed to go through so early on. You have my utmost respect as your teacher. As Naruto moved to do a round of checks on everyone, the remainder of the teacher arrived, followed swiftly by the entourage of emergency response. The blonde waved off any help from the medics, stating his minor injuries would be no problem over the students and teachers injured. He made way over to Jean and some of the students grouped near her. As he neared them, Naruto held his hand out towards Bakugo, confusing him at first before he shook his teacher's hand. "Thank you, and good job for keeping her safe," said Naruto as he looked to Kirishima and to you as well. "Both of you did a splendid job on your own, with a civilian to protect, and made it out without any major injury. I'm proud to see how well you both performed together under the situation, and that goes for your group as well, Midoriya, Sayu and Mineta. Todoroki, I think you know just as well as I do that you did a fine job taking care of your side before moving to the next area to assist those nearby. Head back onto the bus with the rest of the class unless you need any medical attention." A chorus as a thank you could be heard from his students as they filed away, and Naruto knelt down to pick up Jean. She smiled brightly at him as he lifted her up. "Let's not forget how well you did too, Naruto. I know you didn't want to use your powers as much as you did, but it was for the right reason. I only wish you hadn't pushed yourself so hard." Naruto smiled. "It's the main thing I told myself I wanted to do, what I'd push every ounce of being into. Protecting them and their future as best as I can. If that means taking out some villains here and there, then so be it." Jean nodded but frowned as she looked into his golden eyes. "I only wish you'd turn your power off. The threat is gone. It may be, but my body wants to give out right now. If I keep the flow of power low, I can still move just fine till we make it home. I can't fall as long as these children are with me, as both their teacher and as a saint." "Very well, but you heard the principal. School's going to be closed for the rest of the week, so you better rest up." "Yes ma'am," said Naruto with a small smile as he set her down on the bus seat and turned to address the students on the bus. "I've said it a few times now, but truly, I'm proud of you all. You did a wonderful job and you all did well under the pressure you weren't supposed to be under. I will say one thing though, those villains were foolish to do such a thing. They underestimated you and our school. Now they'll run off limping and you'll have grown stronger from this encounter into the adult world. As much as I regret having to see you all in such an environment, you will grow from this. If they come again, you'll be prepared for what they throw at you. You'll crush them," said Naruto with a confident smirk, thrusting his fist out as the students cheered. Regarding school, the principal has decided to take a break for the remainder of the week so the police can investigate immediately and without any concern for contamination. He also wanted me to tell you not to worry, everything will be handled while you're away. So once we get back, get changed and head home for an extended weekend. Relax a little, you all earned it." Naruto sat back down as the bus erupted in conversations once more. They truly are foolish to do such an act. This class has grown significantly from this. Their teamwork, trust in one another, and their ability to act under pressure has increased drastically, said Jean. "Even now, they're talking how things went and what they could have done different. Such bright children." She smiled as she watched the converse, seeing such faces after an event made her all the more hopeful for the future of heroes. She turned to see Naruto was staring off ahead, seemingly in his own world, but his fists were tightly clenched. His thoughts were abruptly stopped when he felt a soft hand grab onto his own. Turning his head, he saw Jean's worried expression. He smiled at her. "Sorry, just thinking back a little." "What's wrong?" Her gaze never wavered. "Let's talk on the way home, if that's alright." "Very well, but I won't drop this until you talk about it. You like to keep it bottled up too much until you explode." Naruto pouted a little. "I do not." "Whatever you say, dear," said Jean, shrugging and ignoring his glare before they arrived at the school a short while later. Naruto stood at the bus doors outside, watching everyone exit with Jean in his arms before she waved at them. "I'll see you all next Monday, so try not to get into trouble before then. I won't be there to clean up the mess." Naruto ignored the insults and began his walk towards the train station. As he left, Bakugo seemed to focus on him a little longer than most. "What is it?" asked Kirishima, both he and Todoroki staying behind a little when their classmate seemed stuck in one place. "You noticed his eyes changed color when he fought, right?" "Yeah, from blue to gold." "Why?" "They're still gold. Does that mean he's still using his powers right now?" "Huh? What for?" "He's probably exhausted, more than us anyway. He's our teacher, so he's trying to set an example of his strong will," said Todoroki, as if it was a normal thing to do. "Yeah, probably. Why are you all around me?" "We were worried." "Die." "With Naruto, on the train home." "So you're worried you might not be able to fend off everything they throw at us?" "It makes sense, you aren't omnipotent." "You are only one person," said Jean, leaning on him as he sat hunched over, looking at his hands. "I pride myself in my abilities and those I use to protect these kids. If I can't do that, what's the point in being a saint if my abilities as a ruler can't do anything?" Jean's soft hands grasped his own before she rested her head against his. "The heart of a saint will always bleed when paired with the hand of a ruler. No matter your power, no matter who you stand with, it will bleed. Nothing can stop that, but you can limit it. Some things are inevitable, no matter what you do it will happen, but you can stop others. You stopped a class from dying today. You did your best, and then some. Be proud of that. You belittle yourself too much sometimes. You're amazing." She reached up and grabbed his face, turning to her own to see his now ocean blue eyes. "I chose you that day because I saw something great inside you. I saw potential unlike any other, and you've shown me today that I made the right choice. You may not see yourself as a hero in the technical sense, but I'll say this. You're my hero, Naruto-kun." He smiled and was about to respond when suddenly she captured his lips with hers. His body froze, in total shock from what was happening. Even as her hand caressed his cheek before she separated and smiled that same innocent smile of hers. "Don't forget that, nah. Looks like we finally got home." She seemed to roll over what she did and grabbed onto his neck as he lifted her up. Due to the events of today, Naruto opted to talk to her about what she just did tomorrow. His brain needed the rest right now. So he remained silent, walking them down the path and right until he got to the door of the house and stopped. Jean, assuming he needed her to open it, reached out, but suddenly he shifted away so she couldn't reach it. She looked to him in worry as he set her down near the door. "The door is cracked open, and I know I locked it before I left," said Naruto, glancing around for anything out of the ordinary. "Call for help and let's head back to the train st. "No, I'll go in. If we retreat someone back, go back and I'll have you in my arms. I can't react in time if something happens, so I need to take care of this now. Take my phone, if things start to turn ugly, call the police so they can report it. Hopefully, it's just some 2-bit thug that looked for something to steal," said Naruto, standing up and handing her his phone. "If it's not." Naruto held his hands together as his eyes once more shifted to gold. "It'll get a little louder in a minute then." "Be safe," whispered Jean as he opened the door, and the last thing she saw was his smiling face before he stepped inside completely and began to search the area. "Here. He's here. He's with another, no matter. They'll both fall and become one. She'll become one with that demon of a man." Then, the door slid open and she readied herself in her hiding spot. As he began to close in, she could feel her heartbeat speed up, her breath became heavy, and her whole body felt warm. 10 feet, 5, 2, 1. Finally, said the girl in a quiet voice before pouncing on her prey. However, her world suddenly was turned upside down as a rush of wind passed. In a single fluid motion, her body was thrown through the window and out into the yard on the side of the house. Her prey jumped quickly out, landing a few feet from her as she stood and smiled. "I got it, I got what I wanted, even though it's just a taste," said the girl, standing up and licking the blood she got from her swipe before he threw her outside. Before his eyes, he saw something he wasn't sure what to do with at first. Jean heard the shuffling before the window broke and she heard someone land just to her left side. Using every bit of strength she had, she stood against the wall and made it to corner where she looked over to a strange sight. Naruto was standing near the house facing off against Naruto. "Huh?" was the only remark she could muster. A moment later, the Naruto standing in the yard seemed to disappear into a muck of strange goo as a woman was left standing in what looked like some school uniform. "That's quite a nifty quirk," said Naruto. "But this, I can become one with you. I can be you, my idol," said the woman, now sporting a massive blush. Naruto did his best to steel himself, but he couldn't help but twitch back a little at her response. "I take it that's why you're here." "Yeah, and cause someone showed up asking if I could kill you, so I said sure. But they don't need to know, I'll keep you alive just enough to have fun." Her smile stretched out even more as she spoke, but Naruto just sighed and put a hand on his hip, looking to the ground. "Someone, huh? Wanna tell me who that is?" I don't know their name. He just had some kinda light blue colored hair, almost white actually. Maybe it was white. He kept this hand-like thing on his face though. Best that settles it then." "Settles what?" "I'll keep you around for a bit and get what useful information I can out of you." She smiled. "You mean I'll keep you around?" "No," said Naruto. She blinked, he was gone, and her world went black as she fell to the ground in an unconscious heap. Naruto bent down and tossed her over his shoulder and turned to Jean. "Sorry about that, I guess we'll have a guest for a few days." Jean narrowed her eyes at him. "You're going to keep her here? Isn't that unsafe?" Naruto shook his head. "I'll keep her tied down in the storm shelter and lock it up from the outside. I'll take care of anything that needs to be done involving her. Can you get inside okay, or do you want to wait on me to get her tied up?" "I'll do my best on my own, but I may stop at a certain point, so go looking for me," said Jean with a weak smile, and Naruto turned with a chuckle as he walked towards the storm shelter out back. "I'll always come looking for you, Jean. Always." Jean watched him walk out of view and she turned to make her way inside the house. With the help of the wall she was leaning on, her progress was fairly quick for her, and in less than a minute she'd made it inside. As she made her way and sat down on the tatami mat across from the kitchen table, Naruto walked in and scoured the house. But the final checkup done, he nodded, walked next to her and sprawled himself on the ground as he rested his head on her lap. The gold color of his eyes faded and his entire body seemed to slump even further than it already was. Jean giggled a little and began to run her fingers through his hair as he rested his head on her lap. "Jean. Be honest, are you okay with this?" She tilted her head as they made eye contact. "With this job, what it's going to bring to us. I won't be able to be left alone anymore. I doubt we'll even be able to stay here much longer either. As it stands, this is too far away from any point of help and the neighbors don't need this mess brought to their farms. We'll move somewhere in the city or much closer and it'll just get messy from there. I don't want to drag you into something that may become much bigger than just a simple teaching job. I knew it would be more but this to keep them safe and to fight this sudden surge of villains after these kids, I'll need to begin some hobbies and start up some contacts. It'll only get more dangerous and I don't want you feeling like you're forced to be here just because of me." In that moment, Jean saw how weak Naruto truly was then. His worry for her well-being, blaming himself on the situation and the overwhelming task in front of him was sinking in. She responded in kind by laying a single kiss on his forehead to distract his roaming thoughts and focus on her. "You needn't worry about myself. My choices are my own and I can assure you I can push through whatever this place throws at me. I've seen more than you can imagine, as I told you before. If you need to create a network I'll help you. I'll speak with Mercury about more details and try to get us started somewhere good. Don't fret over such small details and don't think I just follow you around. I may be a cripple in body for now, but my mind is still as sharp as ever." Yeah, you're right. "Thanks Jean, that means a lot," said Naruto as he slowly drifted off to sleep. Jean kept silent, listening to his soft breathing through the silence of the house. She began to let her mind drift away, quietly falling asleep with Naruto in her lap. Chapter 5. Jean let out a soft sigh, staring at the passing buildings as she sat in the nearly empty train. "Feeling okay?" asked Midnight, in her hero outfit. Naruto had warned her if she ever came by she was eccentric in certain ways, and her outfit showed it. It took all her power now to not blush every time she looked at it. "It's just nice to be out of the house without Naruto around. Don't get me wrong, he's wonderful and I wouldn't trade him for the world, but it's nice to be out without him doting over me all the time with my current situation. Ooh, the spring of youth is joyous indeed. I'm glad you have such a man as Naruto." Jean blushed as the woman flamboyantly tossed her arms around. "I am very blessed to enjoy the company he provides. Tell me again why I'm needed for this meeting at the school." "Oh, that. Well, Naruto selected you as his stand-in. Should we have any meeting where all teachers and staff a part of the main departments are required to be there. You won't need to say much in his stead, just listen and relay the information to him once he's feeling better. I know the fighting tired him out quite a bit before All Might showed up." Jean scratched her cheek nervously. Haha, yes it certainly did. Naruto groaned a bit, stretching as he prepared a fairly large meal. His body had recovered quickly, nothing unusual for him, since he always seemed to bounce back from his wounds and exhaustion much quicker than others did. He had asked Midnight to head over to his house and take Jean to the meeting they had that day in his stead, claiming he was tired from the fight the day before. She agreed, knowing it was a good idea to meet everyone she could before starting her new job, and she knew Naruto had a special guest needing attention for a few days. So he continued with cooking before making a plate and sitting down at the table alone to eat. He enjoyed the silence when he was alone mostly, but today it was almost deafening. His worries from the day before had yet to calm, and his questions for when Jean returned were plaguing his mind. Naruto shook his head, pulling himself from his thoughts before getting up and reading a second plate and cleaning up the kitchen. Once everything had been tidied up to his standing, he picked up the already made plate and walked towards the backyard. He got outside and stepped off the porch, then knelt down to unlock the storm cellar door. His senses kicked into overdrive as he slowly opened the door, prepared for his captured prey to attempt to get the jump on him as he opened the only door out, but nothing lunged and not a peep was heard. The blonde just continued his stride, stepping down the long stairwell and stopping in the only room that made up the bunker. It was no bigger than a living room, 2 beds on either side, a small sink, washroom, bolted-in cabinets and a fridge that could be powered by a solar working generator. In the middle of the room was his captive, heavily tied to a chair on the other side of a table. She awoke at the smell of food as he set the plate down in front of her. Slowly, he pulled out silverware and placed it neatly near the plate with a folded napkin. "Yummy," said Himiko with a toothy grin. Her sharp canines glistening under the light as he stood across from her. "Are you feeling hungry yet?" "Course, this food's pretty good looking, dude, so are you." Her grin only widened as he turned his chair around and sat down, arms crossed on the backrest. "You can eat when you like, barring you answer a few questions of mine." The girl tilted her head. "I can't eat when I'm tied up." To emphasize, she tried to move, her torso and legs were tied tightly to the chair and her arms folded behind her. Naruto leaned back and narrowed his eyes at her. "You were free before I even set foot in here." He saw her smile faded a little and formed into a pout as the rope loosed and fell as she wiggled completely free. Now untethered, she nursed the bruises and cuts left from the tight rope before stretching and beginning to dig into the meal he prepared for her. "You know, you aren't supposed to treat your captors this nicely," she said with a mouthful of food. "I find comfortable prisoners are much more cooperative than ones dying of hunger and thirst," said Naruto. "Besides, you aren't a threat to me as you are now." As if only to prove he never flinched as a blade stopped inches from his face. He slowly lifted a finger and pushed the knife to the side before his guest sat back down in her seat. "I didn't give you that to threaten me, and next time try something not so predictable." Tauga shrugged and just smiled as she began to finish up her plate. Once she realized most of her food was gone, she looked at the blonde with curious eyes. "So, what you wanna know? What compelled you to come after me? You said you didn't know the man that tasked you with this job, but you took Glady. It begs me to wonder if you know me in some fashion." Her eyes twinkled a little as she seemed to recall a fond memory. "Oh yeah, I know you. I remember seeing you back then and just wanted so much to meet you in person. To be with you. Be you." Naruto narrowed his eyes, an unspoken threat lingering as she chose to ignore it and elaborate. "You were like some unholy angel back then, you killed that man. I felt like I was watching a darker version of All Might." She stood, her eyes gaining their twinkle as her smile grew. "But I was given a chance to hunt you down and see you again. I can say thank you so many times over, and I can be here, near you." Now she stood in front of him as he sat on the chair. "So, what do you think? Am I crazy? Are you gonna keep me here forever, or are you going to?" Naruto's hand slowly moved and she involuntarily flinched, expecting a rebuttal to her story, but all she felt was a soft pat on the head. Soft blue eyes looked back at her. "I won't kill you simply because you wish to meet your savior. Even if you Akinda tried to do something similar to that. I'll ignore your little stunt from yesterday so we can speak now on neutral terms." Sigh. "I didn't think anyone was even around the building when that fight took place." Tauga hummed happily as she rocked on her heels. "I wasn't supposed to be, but my parents weren't really around, so I just did my own thing, and most of the time school was the safest place for me to sleep. It was late at night when that thing came rampaging in after it gave that pro hero the slip. It was a mess afterwards. I think our fight collapsed an entire wing of that school. I wondered though, why did you say I seemed like a darker All Might?" "Easy, All Might beats heroes with a smile, and he makes sure they're brought to justice. We all know, no matter the offense, he the hero. You didn't fight that guy for justice, it came after you when you were passing by the gates. I remember it well, it challenged you, then you answered. That look in your eyes when you fought it, and how you just walked away without a care in the world afterwards." Naruto felt he knew what she was going at, but let her continue. He wanted to let her speak her mind fully. "You aren't some hero of justice, and just in my opinion you aren't really even qualified as a hero. You are something else entirely. Certainly no villain, but you don't seem to hold the purity of a hero either. I never figured out really what you are, and it only made me want to meet you more. So, what you think?" The teacher stood slowly and moved the chair out of the way. "I think you're closer than anyone else has ever gotten. To my students and many others, I am a saint. To those who dare raise a hand against them or those I hold dear, I am a ruler. My heart is a saint, my hands are those of a ruler. Now I ask you this, what side do you want to stand on?" Himiko Tauga. She studied his eyes, his posture, all of his attitude as he spoke, and gave her a question she knew was coming. She may have dropped out in high school, but she was far from stupid. She followed power, the winning side, and in some cases her own instincts. Right now they were screaming for one thing and one thing only. Course, they always were when he was involved. "On the side that you stand on, I guess. If there's anything I've been set in, it's my beliefs. I always saw some of these heroes as nothing more than posers, and I still see a lot like that. I like All Might, he's what I see a hero as, but I'm nothing like that. So I'm not a hero, I'm more, I guess, something in between a hero and a villain. If that makes any sense, hahaha," said Tauga as she laughed and scratched the back of her head bashfully. "You follow a strong, meaningful drive, but you aren't opposed to using violence to get things done right the first time." The girl nodded her head furiously. Yeah. I mean, just not really anything to do with a hero though. As much as I see All Might as a cool person, I'm no All Might. If I was truthful, I'd say there isn't much I wouldn't do that needs to be done." Naruto crossed his arms and leaned against the wall. "That's all I needed to hear. Look, I'll be honest with you. I'm not going to turn you in or kill you, but you aren't just going to be locked up in her either. I have to set a few things up, then I'll talk with you more in the next few days. For the time being, I'll make room for you in the house." The girl jumped on her toes and grinned from ear to ear with a smile that would unnerve mostly anyone, save Naruto. "Whoa, you're the best. I totally didn't think you'd let me out anytime soon." Naruto waved a hand casually. Don't think much of it, I just don't want someone heading by hearing you banging on the cellar door, but I do have a few things to say before taking you up there. Until I can get things prepared you'll be an in-home helper for my friend you saw before. She's recovering well, but she still needs help with a few tasks, and I need to run some errands since the school's shut down for the week. Tauga nodded her head, following him so far before she saw something sinister behind those suddenly icy blue eyes. However, if anything happens to her while I'm gone from you or anything else, I will lock you down here in a much less comfortable position and you will wish death came swiftly for you. She is to be kept safe at all times. Is that clear? In nearly every situation, he'd never let anyone help out Jean if he was gone beside someone he knew well, but things were taking a different turn now. He was more of a target than before and he couldn't be around to protect his home all the time. If Tauga could watch over Jean while he finds another place to live, that would make one less thing for him to worry about. Added to that, his little idea he shared with Jean the night before, may be best to start with someone like this girl here. She seemed so infatuated over him she'd do anything for him. He needed to redirect that to a more loyal sense, but it better than just some kid trying to kill him. The girl suppressed a shiver and nodded her head swiftly. Yes. I won't, I only care for your blood anyway. Naruto ignored her comment and moved to walk up the stairs with his new house guest in Tonina. I kinda wanted to ask you something since you brought her up. She's your person, isn't she? Naruto hesitated for a second as he reached for the door, then pushed it open and stepped outside. If Tauga hadn't been straining her hearing she would have nearly missed what he said as the door creaked open. She's more than that, she's my world. But Jean. This place is so big. Said Jean in surprise as they entered the grounds of UA. Midnight kept pushing her alone in the wheelchair against a blonde's wishes to walk. Naruto was right when he spoke over the phone, she was persistent in wanting her independence. You've never had the chance to see it up close? Asked the pro hero. I have, but this is the first time seeing it from the front like this. It's much larger and more intimidating than I thought. Oh my, don't think of it as intimidating. It's never meant to intimidate, I always saw it as more of a comforting thing. Kind of like All Might was when he was fighting. I could see that too, I'll try to keep that in mind. Is every teacher going to be present today? Just a handful, only the heads of each class and department will be here, including the principal of course, and I believe an investigator from the police department too. Jean hummed to herself, letting her thoughts muse over and calm before Midnight pushed her into a large conference room filled with people. She knew only a few, one being All Might himself and the man called Snipe. He had checked up on her previously when Naruto was first starting to get his things ready to become a teacher. A small white mouse-looking man stepped off his chair and walked up to her with an outstretched hand. Hello, I am the principal, Ernezu. It's a pleasure to finally meet you, Miss Jean. The blonde shook his own and smiled. Thank you for allowing me the position as Naruto's assistant so I could be here. I'm looking forward to the prospective future. Haha, such a fine lady. Come, let's begin then. Midnight wheeled her between All Might and the principal before taking her own seat near Snipe. The police investigator from before stood up from his seat off to the side and pulled a few papers out. We've finished the full investigation just a few hours ago. As of now, there are over 70 small-time villains arrested, including the unresponsive one we detained. We've gathered that they intended to use numbers to corral the students and teachers as the main force took on All Might. As we noticed from asking a few of the students in private, the current homeroom teacher of Class 1 in Naruto Uzumaki heavily disrupted their plans. He handled the main group and the strongest fighter they had before All Might arrived and they moved into retreating. I spoke with Uzumaki-san over the phone and his wording towards the man called Shigaraki. It seemed his attitude was akin to his own students. He seemed to think everything would work perfectly and when things went wrong he'd become visibly shaken. His second in hand, a warp gate user called Kurogiri, kept him in check mostly. So we have someone akin to a man-child with a deadly quirk, a warp gate user as his right hand and ideals that most small-time villains would get behind quickly enough, said Nezu with small frown. The villains they picked up were barely in line once I arrived. When I moved to save the others as Uzumaki-san fought, they all gave in within a few seconds of appearing before them. When they noticed their impromptu leader failed, their will to follow and fight diminished, said Toshinori before Vlad, Class 1B's homeroom teacher, spoke. But that being said, his next team may not be some two-bit thugs hanging around the alleyways. They might be the best the underground has to offer. If that's the case, we need to be prepared and ready at any time. Our carelessness led us to rely on a brand new teacher and left 2 seasoned teachers in the hospital. We won't make the same mistake once again. I've already contacted some heroes for assistance as extra security during the games coming up soon, as well as asking help from nearby police departments for assistance. Our mistakes will allow us to learn, even as we lick our wounds, said the principal. I still worry for the students of any class. They knew I was scheduled to be there, so someone leaked the information to them previously. The mole could be a number of people who knew I would be there that day, said Toshinori before Jean set her notepad down and spoke. By no means am I belittling other teachers or heroes, but you doubt your teacher's abilities. Aizawa showed monumental strength and assistance with Naruto as they swept through the majority of the villain's crowd. Most of all, you doubt Naruto. I can see in the way you spoke, Sir Vlad. He is young and new, but is by no means weak. All Might tried to raise a hand to defuse the situation he knew was brewing, but Vlad beat him to it. I know his strength and Aizawa's, but I know how strong a group of well-informed, prepared villains are. This isn't some street fight between heroes, this is teachers protecting their students, and this isn't the time or place to boast about power. Is that so? Is it not the power of your teachers that will protect their students? You seem to revolve around these two, not yourself. The point is it can be any class. Anyone can be targeted. Then why wasn't your class? Why only them and All Might? Are you just taking a chance to poke at a new teacher's lack of keeping a class together over the fear it could have been you being steamrolled that day? I wouldn't have such a leisure approach on life over all that I'd let such a mess happen. Shouted Vlad, speaking his darker thoughts before he even realized it himself. As soon as he spoke he held his head in shame. He knew his own outbursts, but deep down he wished only the best for every student and he only spoke out in anger. Jean sighed and brushed his stray hair. I'll tell you all a secret Naruto won't be happy I'm speaking about, but it's best you all know. Is everyone familiar with what happened that day? A resounding head nod led her to continue. Then know this, the god he called upon, Bishaman, was only one of his quirk's abilities. Blessing isn't tethered to one god, he can call upon a few others to aid him. Ask Endeavor if you want a confirmation, he faced off against the strongest for Naruto's hero test and sports a deep scar to prove under his shirt. He bested Endeavor, said Midnight in slight awe. He wasn't All Might, but there was a reason he was the second highest rank. I'll retell the events that happened that day in a complete and honest way. Please allow me this so I may wash away some of the worries you might have on Naruto. Flashback. Endeavor stood, arms crossed as Naruto knelt across the way, breathing heavy. Is this really everything you have? Even Aizawa would put up a better fight than this pathetic All Might look-alike. Bishaman was it? Don't use some god's name as if it holds some power behind it. You shouldn't even be thinking of protecting a school of students if you can't even spar a while with me. I can show you more. I don't believe you. You haven't given me a single reason to believe you besides some barely impressive speed and nothing more. Naruto grit his teeth in frustration and stood up fully again, only to see the towering figure of the number 2 hero shift and allow himself to see Jean in her wheelchair far in the distance. That's your friend or lover, is it not? If you can't even protect her, what good would you be as a teacher? I can respect your drive as a hero, not as a teacher. I will protect them. I'll protect them and teach them. Better than you ever could. The hero raised an eyebrow. Ho. Show me now then and I'll consider passing you. Jean noticed Naruto seemed to unfocus for a moment before his eyes suddenly sharpened and he jumped back a few feet. I am your apostle, your word-given form, the will of the gods themselves brought to the mortal plane. Grant me your strength, nay, speak through my body and act as you see fit. Follow my will as I follow yours, Amaterasu. Endeavor only saw a pillar of elegant black flames engulf the boy in front of him. It faded with a gust of wind and that who faced him wasn't the same boy he fought earlier. His half-lidded eyes were blazing red, like 2 angry suns. You show some mastery of those weak little embers you call flames, boy. I wonder how well they'd hold up against their origin. He took an unconscious step back when he heard the voice, it was that of a woman, soft, smooth like silk, and the slow steps he took forward were too graceful to be his own. Origin. Now you speak another great entity's name so casually as if it changes anything. Very well, you brought this upon yourself. Endeavor swiped his right hand forward casually, a wave of fire willing into existence on his command before it was sent off towards his opponent. Naruto stopped as it approached, seeming to examine the fire that flowed towards him. As Jean saw it, that was his only option, but in turn of events, Naruto only held his hand out before grasping the fire that was sent his way. As soon as it touched his hand, the fire seemed to disperse. No, to Jean it didn't disperse. It was swallowed by the now black flame that coated Naruto's palm. Those same flames slowly dispersed as the wave of fire did, leaving not a single trace of the burning fire that was once there. What kind of quirk is that? First, you seem to strengthen yourself above any normal standards, and now you're wielding black flames. Now, Endeavor seemed more upset than Jean expected, but if she knew him, he saw it as an insult he was taken lightly to begin with. My apostle is a holder of few, but his powers are greater than those of many. You need no other explanation, my blessed child. However, I will grant you this. You speak with the strongest of those who call him their apostle. I am the origin, the light of all things on this planet. I am Amaterasu, goddess of the sun. I shall grace you with a swift defeat as not to hurt your pride too much. At this point, the hulking man was seeming to become more confused and angry as she spoke, but the last sentence sparked a deep rage within him as his suit lit up in blaze. I will see no defeat from the likes of you. Without warning, a bright burning arm raised and fell with the might of many. Its red beauty captivating as the flowing flames erupted and engulfed nearly everything in front of him. In the moments following, Jean remembered watching Endeavor's face change. His anger changed to confusion as his flames parted to the black flames that he saw before. As the blonde simply walked forward unharmed, his own shroud of fire protecting him. Then, in a swift strike, Naruto struck. His hand swiped up, coated in fire and tore through the flesh of Endeavor's torso like a hot knife through butter. The mighty hero's face shifted once more as he fell, from that of confusion to content. His last emotion to Jean seemed to convey content in the blonde and his abilities. A moment later, she noticed that Naruto was facing her now. My command is done, I will depart for now. Till we meet again, Guardian. With that said, his eyes closed and slowly reopened, their blue color returned as he looked around to see Endeavor on the floor. He scratched his head a little and sighed, man, she overdid it this time. Hope they don't go hunting me down for scarring him up like that. Then flashback. That's the entire story, as I saw it at least. Wait, so you're saying he can call upon Amaterasu and she can inhabit his body? Asked Midnight, trying to iron out some of her own confusion. Correct, but calling on her to help like that is very rare and extremely taxing on him. He can't keep the link open long either, but I don't know any specifications on that ability, or most of the others. He's trained mostly alone to gain control of his more destructive powers like that. My, we have quite a powerhouse for a new teacher, then to surprise Endeavor like that, said the principal, but everyone caught his wording. He clearly said surprising, not beaten. In that battle, it was true. It would have been a massive shock for anyone to easily walk through his attack, and the strike back was a decisive blow. After all, if Naruto was on a timer in his linked form, punched wouldn't be pulled then. If I may ask, Miss Jean. The Amaterasu-sama called you Guardian. Is there something important we need to know? Asked All Might. In his mind, if she was someone that had a similar power, then it was a need to know as she was slated to become an assistant to Naruto in the coming times. There isn't any real reason save for the fact I had saved him when we were both younger and I helped him a lot since then. They all seem to refer to me as that, well she does at least, and that's the only one I've met. Jean opted to feed that lie, as Amaterasu never called her guardian then. She only addressed her as one title, Origin. To the Sun Goddess, she was the origin of Naruto, his powers as an apostle, and bringing new light to their names. These here didn't need to know such information, not yet anyways. Her history needed to stay buried away forever if possible, as she wanted no one to delve into her appearance here. Whenever the mole was found, she might speak more freely, but for now her secret was kept just as that. Ah, I see. Thank you for the clarification. As well, thank you for the story. It puts a renewed faith in our newest members to know he can boast such power and to know a goddess entrusts her apostle to you care. I'm sure with that in mind we can leave our worries aside for our students, His eyes moved to everyone, floating on Vlad slightly longer than the others. I believe that is a sound statement, All Might. Thank you once more, Miss Jean and All Might for your strong encouragement. From here on forward, we expect a tighter ship and more careful plans for everyone to ensure these are not a repeated incident. From here, I need a private meeting with the investigator here, All Might, Vlad and Aizawa. The rest are free to leave and return once class is back in session. Enjoy the extended vacation now. With the principal done speaking, those not asked to stay left one by one. Midnight taking Jean out and towards the train station. You really do have quite a strong man, Jean said Midnight in a teasing tone. Her smirk only fueled her blush as she turned away from her gaze. I know he is a very reliable and valued companion. He seems to be more than just that if you blushed that hard with some light teasing. Her sudden twitch and sigh showed the R-rated hero that she hit the nail right on the head as she got situated on the train. He may be, but for now, I'm not sure. We promised to speak once I return today, and speak we will. I have my own words to say to him about a few things he's done up until now. Oh ho, someone's ready for anything then. Let me give you a little advice then. One woman to another. Men aren't as tough as they make themselves out to be. I'm sure you know, but keep it in mind when you rail into him, yeah? She nodded before she noticed the naughty smirk she held as she spoke the last sentence as her entire face lit up in a blush. No, we will not do that. Why do you insist on suggesting such provocative things? I have standards. I noticed you picked the cream of the crop with Blondie. I might have snatched him had you not stated you're shooting for him. I won't go after a man taken, after all. He isn't taken though, said Jean, a little confused. Not yet, anyway, she said with a smile that only showed genuine happiness for Jean. A sudden smile caught her off guard and she turned away. Why, yeah, not yet. The remainder of the ride was silent as Jean gathered her thoughts for the coming talk with Naruto before the train stopped just outside where they lived. "I'll see you two friends soon enough." "Have fun," said Midnight, waving goodbye as the doors to closed and Jean turned to face the house. All the while, she felt an ominous sense of something the closer she got. Naruto was at his last straw and he was ready to stab this girl with it. She refuses to submit to something so simple and necessary. She had them moments ago, so why now did it suddenly become a problem? "You can't make me put on dirty clothes," shouted Toga, rushing around the house in nothing but her birthday suit being chased by a blushing and enraged Naruto. Nearly every room but his and Jean's had been visited and ransacked on his path to get her pinned down. If nothing else, he could applaud her evasive abilities. Now they stopped, facing off from one another across the dining table left on its side. "I'll have clean clothes tomorrow, so just wear this." "If it's not clean, it's not happening," shouted the girl back, sticking out her tongue. Suddenly, their senses kicked into overdrive as the room temperature dropped. Both noticed their stances shifted, prepared for some form of attack as they looked to the hallway leading to the front door. Like a demon, creeping slowly, Jean's form made her way into the room with a sickly sweet smile Naruto knew too well. Ara, what have we here?" I can explain," shouted Naruto, unintentionally shaking Toga's clothes around before he realized it and quickly tossed them behind his back. The temperature dropped even more as a vein began to throb in Jean's head. "It better be a good one, or else." The coldness she spoke those last two words made both of them shiver in fear. It was going to be a long day indeed. Chapter 6. Tough times never last, but tough people do. Dr. Robert Schuller. Jean sat at the dining table that had been fixed into its proper standing position. Her face was schooled even as Naruto and the girl known as Himiko Toga sat across and beside her respectively. Toga had since been dressed in a plain blue t-shirt of jeans and white short shorts. It fit her just enough to work for the time being. "So you saw it fit to run around without clothes even if they were dirty?" "I hadn't washed them in 2 days and I finally showered. I didn't want them back on," said the girl, throwing her hands in the air as if to show her exasperation even more. Jean coughed a little and looked directly at her. "I'll ask you once, never do that again under this roof." Then she quickly rounded on Naruto as well. "Don't let her shower without a clean pair of clothes. Even your shirt would have been enough until I arrived. I thought you had more sense than that." Naruto bowed his head. "I'll apologize for my behavior. I should haven't made such a scene." Jean looked at Toga who seemed to catch on and bowed, reciting a similar apology before the two raised their heads. "Amiko-san, please get comfortable in the guest bedroom. I'll be there once I'm done with Naruto." Toga obeyed and bounced on her feet to the room closest to the front as Naruto walked Jean to their own in the back of the house. It took up most of the back, being a custom-built home setup, so Jean could have space for whatever was needed when she was just beginning to recover. "If this is about the train, a hand stopped Naruto from talking anymore. "I will speak my piece before you say another word. What you did that day, in front of those children, made me wish I could stand up and give you a proper beating." The shock and confusion etched on his face gave cause for her to elaborate. "I know somewhat of what you're really capable of if you don't limit yourself, but you seem to take it in your mind to do so in front of everyone. Yes, it's good to not show the enemy every card you have, but did you need to hold back as much as you did? You had to use one of my own moves. Naruto, you only have a few abilities I held when I had my powers and they aren't for a cushion in a fight. Those are your trump cards and you used it as a cushion, insurance in case your little plan backfired. What if that creature had went outside the range of luminicide Eternel?" As she spoke she could see his shoulders sag and his face morph into a frown, understanding what she was getting at. "The shaman gifted you strength greater than that, but you pulled every punch. At first, I thought you were giving it your all, then I saw how you moved, how you were thinking. You chose to hold back. You gave into your desire to test yourself. You put the lives of everyone behind you on the whim of a challenge. You are a saint as much as ruler. Neither side is heavier than the other, yet you gave into the ruler's lust for battle, for a challenge. What is a ruler?" He didn't say a word, he only stared at her before she leaned in slightly. "What is a ruler?" "A governing body, a pillar of strength for those under it. Unbreaking, unforgiving, unkind." Jean grabbed his shirt and pulled him close in a sudden manner that surprised him. "You are a saint, your hands have proven that, but they have yet to truly show the claws of a ruler. Naruto, the next time something happens you show them your claws. No one can move past you for you are unyielding." She saw the spark of a raging fire in his eyes as she spoke and he opened his mouth. "I am unforgiving against those who are unjust in the eyes of the gods above. I am unkind to any who raise their hands to those seek my protection. My palms are soft as to cradle the newborn of this world, but my body is honed to defend them. I am Naruto Uzumaki, a saint as equally as a ruler. May the gods guide me towards the path I am needed on." Jean let go of his shirt and ruffled his hair a little with a small smile. "That's more like it. Let's hope you don't make the same mistake twice, for your sake and those children. Her headstrong demeanor seemed to dissipate as quickly as it came as her face began to flush red a little. I about what I did on the train. I was worried about losing you, and then I kept thinking about everything you've done for me. You've never been far away from me since we moved here, and even then you always checked up on me. Even though you trained day in and out, you made time. Eugene turned to him and saw more than she expected in his eyes. She saw his hesitation at her words, his fear of what she was going to say, and his hope, but most of all she saw his greatest weakness reflected as clear as day. It made her conviction waver, if only for a moment, before she steeled herself and spoke. I don't want to lose you, ever. You mean more to me than anyone else I've ever held close to my heart. Her words stuck in her throat as tears began to brim and fall. As she tried to regain her voice she couldn't react quick enough before his lips claimed her own. Her body moved without a second thought, cupping his cheek as he put his hand behind her head. The two soaked up the love pushed into the singular kiss, and as they separated both could almost swear they could hear each other's heartbeats in that single kiss. To them, that was their most open moment between each other. The moment they came to terms with the feelings welled inside each other for the past few years. However, Naruto broke the silence. I know just how you feel, Jin-chan, and I'll promise you this. I'll do everything within my power to protect both those children and the link between us. I won't break it willingly, not ever. That's a promise of a lifetime. She could only giggle a little and wipe away her tears as she saw his goofy grin and barely restrained tears. I'll confess, I don't have much experience in this matter. In the plays of hearts and skinship, said Jean, knowing she was the oldest here in age and vastly in experience thanks to her past lives. You seem to forget, I saw everything then. When you gave me your powers I saw your life, your first life and the countless lives you lived under that grail. I know what you've been through and I want you to know I'm here for you now. In this life, I'm here and I won't disappear. I only hope you don't either, said Naruto with a smile and a chuckle at the end. The woman in front of him once again cupped his cheek and brushed a single fallen tear. As I saw your childhood, the orphanage that took you in when you appeared. We were both cast aside by our world in circumstances we don't understand. I won't disappear on you, and you better not do the same to me. I'm not above asking your God's favor to let me see you one last time for a little lesson. For now, know I'll be here for you as you are for me. The two hugged, savoring each other before Jean spoke. So, what does this make us now? Naruto pulled back and scratched the back of his head nervously, sporting a heavy blush now. I mean, if you're okay with it, my girlfriend. Even though she knew it was coming from the start, her face still flushed a deep crimson as she averted her gaze in embarrassment. Oh, of course I am. Stammered Jean stiffly, trying hard just to get the words out. Haha, great. I should probably get to fixing up the rest of the house for now. I need to tend to our guest as well. The two stood awkwardly, Naruto sliding the door to let out before stepping into the hallway and looking at the ransacked room. Save the table and chairs he fixed, everything else was a battlefield. Footprints where feet were never intended to be. Knives, fork, spoons sticking out of the wall. He made sure Jean had a safe walkway set, she could move without any assistance, but it was a slow journey. I've got a lot to do, said the blonde, grabbing a bin as he began to pull out of the projectile stuck in the room. Just as Jean had gotten to the edge of the hallway on the other side of the room, she turned to him and spoke. If you hurry, I can make us dinner, boyfriend. She was glad he didn't turn around and just nodded his head. She didn't want him to see her blush before she moved towards the door where Himiko was at. Little known to her, Naruto never turned to hide his own blush and the massive smile he sported hearing those words. Jean knocked softly and waited before hearing the girl invite her in. She opened the door and saw the girl sitting on the bed, looking at a book about acrobatics and its correlation to certain fighting styles. The room in the front was a guest room, but Naruto stored a lot of books they had used to study up on a number of things. I apologize for leaving you in here for so long. We had a few things to sort out private for a moment. Is there anything in particular you need? I'll send Naruto out tomorrow for things since he'll be off work for the rest of the week. Toga sat up quickly and set the book down. What can I ask for? I'm not sure I follow. What do you mean? Like, just clothes? I really don't know how long I'll be here, so I don't know what to ask for or what I can ask for without costing too much. Jean waved her hand. Money isn't a problem, and expect a long stay. If you don't have any clothes besides those, then you need a wardrobe entirely. I'll talk with Naruto and see about letting us go alone soon and getting you an entire wardrobe. The girl's eyes widened at her statement. Really? I don't need all that. Jean smiled. I'm sure you want to though. If he's chosen to keep you under this roof, I'll see to it you're taken care of. No matter what has happened before, it's my job to keep things in order and tend to guests here. You are a guest and I'm tending to you as you need. Besides, I think you'll be here for a while anyway. Toga seemed to still be in mild shock, but she stood and hugged Jean. "Thank you," said the girl, muffled in Jean's shoulder as the older woman hugged her and rubbed her back softly. Jean could tell she lacked much of a parental figure, she seemed to be soaking up every bit of care she was being given. It wasn't something she didn't expect, anyone willing to just go and hunt someone down at her age didn't have much to lose in the first place. Lost souls were the easiest to manipulate for evil's gain. Shortly later, the girls separated and smiled a toothy grin. "So now what?" "I'll go speak with Naruto and get things ready for a trip into town as soon as possible. For now, relax. I need to prepare dinner. Can I read in there?" The woman nodded her head and left as Toga picked up her book and moved to sit on the large L-shaped couch in the living room. She hummed to herself mostly speed reading the book and getting a gist of what was in it. She had read a similar book a few months ago, but this one looked different. Sadly, all she got was a few new moves to practice. So she stretched out and stood up, seeing Jean finishing up the meal as Naruto set the table. Toga stood quietly and sat down, feeling the atmosphere as Naruto maneuvered around Jean to grab what she needed or to clean something she finished using. The sounds around her seemed to wash away as the two started to blur. She never noticed the bowl of stir-fry vegetables set down in front of her. "Toga? Are you okay?" said a soft voice, shaking her out of her mind. She looked forward to see Jean sitting down across from her, looking worried while Naruto took his own seat next to her. She wiped her wet eyes and smiled, sharp canines showing off with a bright smile. "Yeah?" Jean smiled back. "Well then, enjoy your food and then get some rest. I'll take you with me to get some clothes tomorrow. He's going to run a few of his own errands while we have a girls' shopping trip." "Have you ever been to a doctor since you got your quirk, or have you been examined?" asked Naruto. Toga shook her head. "No, no one knew I even had one." "Why?" "We know someone that can give you a checkup and document a few things down. She might be able to help you better understand your quirk since it deals with blood. She an expert in the medical field," said Naruto, and the girl bounced a little in her seat. "Oh, she sounds cool." Sure. "Jean, can you take her there before you go shopping?" "Of course, I'm sure she'd love to see a new quirk like our friends here," said Jean, and Naruto suppressed the urge to laugh. "Most certainly, she'll love it." Toga lit up in a bright smile. "Really? Awesome. I can't wait." Next day. Jean could only suppress a laugh of her own as she saw Toga squirm under Reina's checkup. Taking blood, height, measurements and all other manner of things were being done to a girl that had never had them done before professionally in years. Obviously it was going as well as one could expect. "Stop touching me," shouted Toga, trying to bite Reina's hand off anytime she got within range, which hadn't happened since the first bite. "I need measurements for proper wellness checkups, please calm down." "No. Go die." A sudden familiar cold air washed over her as she heard a voice speak. "The more cooperative you are, the quicker we can leave, and I'll treat you to dessert after we finish shopping." Jean's tone was even, but carried the cold weight, or it did, which seemed to get the girl to stop her struggling. "Really?" "Yes." "Fine, lem outta here fast then." "Nearly done," said Reina as she finished up a few more measurements and checks before stepping back and letting Toga run off to where Jean was sitting. Her ability to move freely was drastically increasing, but even then, she still moved fairly slow, and she was forced to move with a set of arm brace crutches because of her legs' weak muscles. All the years stuck in bed had done a number on her muscles and nerves, but she was lucky enough to have retained almost all of her upper body strength. "Now that wasn't so hard," said Reina, holding up a few follicles of hair and a vial of blood in one hand and an entire packet of checkup sheets and notes in the other. Her only reply was her patient to stick out her tongue from behind Jean. "She's not a very nice lady," said Himiko before Jean laughed a little. "Not many doctors seem nice at first, but you'll learn to get used to it. Just think, Naruto's going to be having issues with his errands all day." Himiko smiled at the fact, happy she wasn't the only one suffering, but oh how little she and Jean knew. With Naruto. "Woo. Another win in the bag," shouted a tall blonde, dressed classier than normal. He'd forgotten his usual work attire. It was mostly his normal look, but everything looked freshly pressed, well kept and shiny as the day it was made. From his dress shoes to the orange-lined suit jacket over the black shirt and orange tie. If there was anything other than winning as his staple, it was his love of orange. Winning just was a much more noticeable thing right now than his love of orange. In front of him was now a massive stockpile of chips from winning big on the roulette wheel, his favorite one. "As always, sir, your luck knows no bounds. Your funds will be deposited into your account as per the usual. Would you like to play another?" asked the woman running the wheel. She was the one normally on the wheel when he was around, if not her supervisor when she took breaks. He favored this wheel apparently, as he told her. He just felt luckier here than anywhere else. "I'm good for today, I've got my slot wins under my belt too, so it's time for some refreshments and a nice lunch before I head home. Hope that new car is treating you well," said Naruto as he walked off, waving behind him. "Of course, sir, and thank you." "Anytime." Naruto quickly shuffled through the crowds, speaking with the cash-out clerk about updating his account by tomorrow morning. After a short checkup on his most recent funds, she took his play card he used and let him go on his way. He stepped out and enjoyed the atmosphere. It was midday, everyone was mostly at work for the weekday, so it was nice to see a less crowded area. He was in one of the highest class casinos in the city, so the rest of the block looked as such, high-end restaurants, classy venues and other lavish things Naruto wasn't too concerned about. His attention was set right across from him, the doors to a renowned restaurant. He quickly crossed the street and walked up to the man standing on the podium outside. "Nice to see you, Len." "You as well, sir, we've got a table available right now if you'd like to dine." "You know I do." "Right this way please." He was led just inside and around the corner to the private booths mostly used for VIP clients and for business deals. However, the blonde was a special exception. He took his seat and a female waiter came by shortly after, handing him his usual glass of whiskey. He didn't really enjoy drinking much, but the whiskey here was just too good to pass up. "The normaler, are we feeling adventurous today, Mr. Uzumaki?" said the woman. She was his usual waitress here, the one designated specifically to handle all manner of clients that sat in the reserved area. "Just the usual, but let's get started with beef and pork." She bowed and smiled. "Of course sir, whatever you like." She exited the section and Naruto was left to ponder his next mission. He had stocked up on funds for another few months, so they'd be good there. Jean was slowly working off her medicine, but it wasn't cheap either way you looked at it. She'd be pampering their new guest for a while, and she herself would be out and about here soon, so the more she was out, the more money spent. He prayed his luck didn't run dry anytime soon. He still needed to find more information on who attacked the school, but he wasn't in a position to be lurking around right now. Once that group became more active he'd be able to search properly. As it stood now, he couldn't without causing a scene looking for just two people. They'd regroup and they'd appear again, then he'd start to bring the big guns out. There was another matter, but this was a more pressing one. If he was right on the time, he should be expecting there. A rough-looking bald man walked in, bowing to the host and walking towards Naruto's table. "You rang?" Naruto motioned for him to sit. "Relax, food's on the way. Let's talk business for a few minutes." The large man sighed and sat down, pouring his own glass from a flask he kept on him and took a hard swig. "You call me out here on a moment's notice for some business meeting. Last I remember, you do business for me." He looked up and nearly choked on his drink, ice-cold blue eyes stared back at him. "If that was the case, I'd be begging to come back into the syndicate. If you forgot already, the missions you paid me for helped build you up to where you are now. Don't play games with me, Renshi." Renshi held his hands up. No, nothing like that. Just poking a little fun." "What did you need?" Naruto sighed and took a sip of his own drink. "I'm sure you heard about the attack on UA. Pretty soon I'll need to get regular information on anything suspicious going on around the city. I know you have a farther reach than you used to, and I'm going to rely on your help soon." Renshi rubbed his temple a bit and sighed. "A teacher running an underground informative operation with a well-known and heavily tied-in syndicate. Why does this sound like a bad idea?" "Excluding my teacher status, I'm registered as a hero so I can keep a flow of information in as part of my job. I've worked my way around the police before, you own a lot of them anyway, so I don't need to worry, but I'll be careful." "Are you looking to start up your own crew?" asked the scarred man, leaning in as he spoke quieter. The taller man shook his head. "No, not anytime soon anyway. My plan with this is to learn ins and outs of the night scene and catch up on what's been going on since All Might stepped away. From there, I'll be able to keep track on possibly future issues regarding the school and other events the students might attend. As I said though, I won't be pushing for this until the turn of the month, and it's nothing heavy. Just anything regarding heavy villain movement or anything regarding UA and any other school you hear about." Renshi took another swig and filled up his glass again. "Fine, only because of what you've done for me and out of respect for those you helped train back then. They still ask about you, you know." The blonde shook his head. "I was different a few years back, I was younger, dumber. Things changed when Jean got better and I got this job offer." "Yeah, you were colder then too. I still remember you scared off half the new recruits one day walking in covered in wounds, claiming you'd taken out an entire Yakuza group. Acting like any other day, sat down, grabbed a drink and asked when food would arrive." Naruto let out a hearty laugh. "I remember we had a massive influx of the baddest guys you could ask for after that too. We nearly had to start turning people away. How's the old crew by the way?" "Your crew? Scattered but doing good for themselves. Everyone's still involved, but only a few still work full-time. Ryu started up that business he wanted, Anya settled down for the most part, and Utano said she'd found a constant gig she liked downtown. Shin, well, he's been working hard with the new recruits getting them in shape. He took it as his own mission to take over what you'd been doing. As he finished up, the waitress came by, dropping off 2 bowls of ramen before stepping away. "Take the beef, I'll eat some pork," said Naruto, grabbing his bowl and starting to eat while they finished the conversation. "So, got a dresser? Do I need to go from the most recent one first and start looking?" A sealed envelope was slid his way that he quickly pocketed in his suit jacket. "I figured you'd want them today, but don't go causing a scene. Most of them only work as touchback informants and emergencies. If you don't go trampling them, they'd probably be glad to see you." "I hope so, I'm not keen to starting a deathmatch with my old crew." Renshi laughed, this time not like they'd fare well, but it'd be a funny story hearing you get skewered for dropping in on one of them unannounced. "Once a zero, always a zero." The bald man coughed. "We stopped using that title, by the way, for groups. Once yours disbanded, we kept it so they were the only ones with zeros in the front. Everyone still respects the zeros, maybe a bit too much. We were the beginning of the golden age for Yakuza back then. We mended relations with higher-ups and the police, all while assisting both heroes and those who deserved the help. Back when Yakuza were nothing but thugs, and most still are, your group's name was a sign. Not every one of them was out for just some street brawl or protection insurance. Demons and dragons alike mean nothing in the face of apostles to the gods themselves. That was the Zero's mantra, if I believe. It did the job well enough. Still funny it only held true for you though, hahaha." Naruto chuckled and scratched the back of his head. "It did the trick, and it stuck with us. Hope the new crew keeps things stable. The brotherhood isn't something that needs to become a laughingstock." He finished his bowl and stood slowly, setting down the pay for the food and a hefty tip. "Just one, usually you down a few dozen. I've got business to attend to before the night draws near. Give my best to Shin for me, tell him I might need his service soon, and I'll reward him well." Renshi waved him off. Yeah, he'll be happy to hear from you. Take care and give my regards to Jean. I'll visit soon and see how she's holding up. She'd like that, I'm sure. Don't forget, if things ever get tight you got a zero on your back too, so give one of us a ring. I won't, see ya. Take it easy." Naruto exited quietly and moved to a secluded spot away from prying eyes before he opened the envelope, then put in an address in his phone. "Just down the street, I can walk there. Hope there's someone home." The woman with long jet black hair hummed softly to herself as she quietly walked through her home. She ascended the stairs with the grace of a ballerina, careful to not make a noise lest the sleeping child in her arms wake. A short walk down the hall and into the far bedroom led her to the kids' room, a baby crib and a smaller bed just across lay near each other. Her pitch black hair blew softly from the gentle breeze from the open window on the opposite side. It wasn't too hot, so she let the fresh air in just before it was nap time. Quietly, she set the baby down and smiled to herself. Once the baby was comfortable and covered, she moved to shut the window and secure the lock before heading to the door. She'd only just made it to reach the handle when she heard something creak. Her fingers twitched a little and her eyes narrowed. A split second later, a knife was suddenly quickly found the throat of an intruder that had somehow gotten right behind her. Only now did she realize the size difference and his iron grip on her wrist. She'd have to fight to get free, not to mention the baby, she'd. It's never good to leave a window open, no matter the season, Anya. Her grip on the handle fell as she spun to see a tall blonde man facing her with a sharp smile and an even sharper suit. "Long time no see. Glad to see you got settled in like you always wanted." Her eyes narrowed when the shock left and she quickly ushered him out of the room. Once she'd moved him to the living room did he get to finally hear her speak for the first time. "You better have a damn good reason showing up here like this. Nearly made me activate my quirk in front of Taunton." Naruto stifled a laugh. "You named her Taunton?" A handful of floating blades suddenly surrounded him and her cold black eyes stared at him. "Is there a problem?" Naruto shook his head vigorously. No, not at all." The blades slowly settled back into their respective hiding spots around the house and she huffed. "Good, now would you like some tea?" Naruto smiled. "I'd love some, I stopped by to catch up with you anyway. I'll be seeing a few others over the coming days too." Anya rose a brow as she poured 2 glasses and sat down at the dining table. "I assume you know about my new job that I took up. I know everyone's been watching me recently and a few bolder ones shadows me a few days." She had the decency to blush a little in embarrassment before taking a sip. "We haven't everyone's agreed to leave you alone, but we also secretly agreed to keep tabs on everything around you. You attract more attention than you realize sometimes and let's face it, none of us really left the crew fully. It's too. To us, it fits everything we ever wanted until we grew older and life began to set us a new path. The past always comes back to haunt you, but if you never leave it, it's easier to see coming," said Naruto, looking around the home. "You've got a lovely home, a little big for someone who never liked anything with too many places to hide. My husband does, so I compromised with this place. How is it, by the way? Married to someone who knows so little of your past life. Living a civilian life." The woman sighed. "It was boring for a year or so. He knew of my involvement, but only recently did Renshi meet him and give him a full rundown. After all, I hid the first kid with your help, but the second one had nearly every old crew member and some higher-ups from a few corporations stopping by to say hello. He was fine with the idea and he knows I'm active from time to time. It helps he works for one of those corporations and they got him a big raise too, haha," said Naruto, stating clearly he kept his own tabs on her. She looked a little embarrassed by that too. Yeah, it's been interesting, but we're doing all we can to make things work. Shin visits a lot these days, but Ryu's always busy running his business and Utano only comes down here once every few weeks for dinner with everyone. You've been the only one who's been totally out of contact these past few years. I needed to, even popping back up would get my name where I didn't need it. It already is, but I've got reason for it to be now. I've got kids to protect and someone else who I swore to protect. You look to the view over the city from the window. I do too, that's why I stay at home now. My husband is a wonderful man and keeps the kids entertained when I go out late at night with Shin or Utano for a job. They've been getting more and more frequent with how things have been shifting recently. Don't worry, I'll be working on that soon enough too. She raised an eyebrow and he smiled. I won't spill that secret just yet, so don't ask. Do wish the best to your husband, I'm sure he's wanted to meet me, but I don't have any more time to waste. I need to head back home, got to beat Jean back. He stood and walked towards the balcony, offering a soft prayer as his eyes shifted from blue to gold and he opened the door. He was just about to leap when he heard Anya speak. You know I used to love you. How caring you were to me, even when you were so cold to everyone else back then. Naruto turned to her, his golden eyes and shining smile made her heart skip a beat. It felt just like old times when he'd rescue her from anything and anyone. Her superior and her first crush. I know, you reminded me of Jean a lot back then. I saved you so you could learn to enjoy life like you are now, you deserved it. Just as the rest of us heroes did. Everyone's found some peace, and that means I did a good job leading you all. I've always had mine, but I was lost then. I've got my way and it seems everyone else does too. Take care and you've got my number if you need anything or you just need to chat. See ya. He took off as he always did, a leap, and he disappeared along the rooftops in a speed few could hope to follow. You used to be a star in my night sky, but now you're like the sun beaming down on everyone. I hope you're careful, Naruto. Just don't burn out trying to shoulder everything like you used to. Boom, some interaction between Toga, Jean and Naruto as well as we delve into Naruto's past a little. Think he just trained all day and night? No sir. These are all characters I made on my own, but they were needed. I didn't want Naruto being involved with any other hero's business, but I've basically stated he's been involved with hero work. For this story, this is Naruto's beginning to where he is now. I wanted this to show mostly what Naruto had done when Jean was immobile all those years. He trained of course, but he gained a lot of his combat and street skills from being part of the Yakuza group for a few years and where he gets most of his money. Our boy's luck stat is always high in gambling. To add, any chapter under 15 pages, as this one is, will include a little snip of Naruto's past and take place of the character notes I said I'd leave for the time being. This seemed funner and more interesting. These will be mentioned in other chapters from the arcs I created, but again, nothing is extremely important as of yet. The only thing you'll get to see is young Naruto in his emo phase, running a group of Yakuza and beginning to grasp his powers better. Here we go. The beginning. Naruto sat casually in a room with 4 others, each of them not saying a word as they stared off the other. The tension was nearly thick enough to taste as each one looked at the other for any sign of movement, but nearly everyone was wary of the blonde. His golden eyes and aura set everyone's mind on high alert. It was unspoken between the other 4, he was the most dangerous of the 4. Suddenly, the door opened and in walked a bald man. His head wrapped in medical bandages and dressed in a suit more expensive than anyone there could hope to afford. Seems like you 5 are what's left of the exercise we conducted yesterday, but that was expected. I'm Renshi, as you lot should know, but I don't know who you are. Introduce yourselves, name, number, hobbies, likes, dislikes and such. This is your new home after all, your new family, so better learn something, so no one goes on killing the other. Raven hair, go first. He pointed to the black-haired woman in the corner, sitting against the wall. Her attire was fairly plain, black pants, boots, a white shirt and a gray jacket, but everyone could see the glint of blades lining the walls of her jacket. I'm Anya, number 05. My hobbies are gardening and reading. I like sweet things and fruit, but I really hate any kind of spicy foods. That good? Asked Anya, and the man shrugged before pointing to the next woman. Her ice-white hair was certainly an attention grabber, just like the flute that rested in her hand. She too was dressed fairly plainly, casual pants, boots and a long-sleeved, skin-tight turtleneck shirt. Name's Utano, number 08. My hobbies are mostly listening to new music and writing my own pieces. I like to find people who like the music I play, and I like candy too much for my own good. I dislike sweaty, nasty pig-like men who think they can own whatever they please. Even with her somewhat dark ending, she capitalized what she liked by popping a piece of hard candy into her mouth right after speaking. The circle continued to a boy that everyone had guessed was Utano's brother. White hair, same piercing green eyes, but he dressed a little differently. His attire was what people would call traditional. He had on nearly all black kimono, save for the white sleeveless overcoat. A sword completely covered green with gold accents rested on his hip. My name is Shin, my number is 04. My likes are my sister here and finding the time to meet anyone well versed in the sword these days. A big hobby of mine currently has been fishing to feed the local orphans that I see around here. I share my sister's dislike and I'll add I won't tolerate any child abuse in my presence. No one here should, but moving on to the last two. A burly man stood, his body was bulky, and his form was anything but perfect in the eyes of a bodybuilder. It was like looking at a slightly smaller All Might. He kept his outfit plain, well-fitting jeans, boots and only a vest. I'll go by Ryu and my number is 07. My hobby is mostly keeping up with whatever my younger brother needs help with at his job. I like seeing people smile after I help them, and I enjoy hearty meals with friends. I dislike mostly anyone intent to betray my trust or harm my brother. Renshi looked to Naruto and motioned for him to speak. He shifted a little in his seat, adjusting his shirt a little. He looked like the others, a plain burnt orange long-sleeved jacket, black shirt, pants and boots. His orange belt caught the eye along with what looked like an extremely expensive watch on his wrist. I'm Naruto Uzumaki, number 03. I like to help others where possibly and punish those who see it fit to harm the helpless. I despise the vermin of the villain society that sees for nothing but to cause others misery and harm. My hobby is either taking care of my sick friend or hunting down vermin for their bounties. Also, I love ramen so if you ever do me wrong that's a good starting point. So it's just zeros on this team? Asked Shin. He was surprised at first, but it made sense only those would make it, his sister included. Renshi nodded his head, then Anya spoke where's 02 and 09 then? Did they not make it? This time Naruto spoke 09 is in jail for killing a hero without cause, and 02 was seen aiding him. I put 02 down. Everyone but Renshi had a varying manner of surprises, but no one was willing to speak against it if he did. 02 was said to be the most powerful member of the group, right next to Renshi himself. I'll confirm his story, that was his test. You all were given numbers during your test, but 03 died during his test. Naruto has taken that number up after the task I handed to him was completed. I'll introduce myself now. I'm Renshi, number 01. I like order and I like to enjoy a nice cold drink after a good day's work. I hate slackers and any other type like M, but I hate those who prey on weak even more. My hobby is this, my job. I don't have free time for anything else. Now, this group is going to be the new face of the Brotherhood. We need to make a better image of Yakuza, and you 5 are the beginning of that. Each mission you do has a purpose, no matter how absurd it may seem at the time, so bear with me. Some will be as easy as assisting cleanups for people's destroyed homes, and others might be eliminating the ones who destroyed them. The Yakuza image isn't a pretty one and it won't ever be, but we can show we care for the community we live in. We aren't the good guys, but we aren't villains either. We're the neutral third party here. I've got high expectations for you 5, don't disappoint and keep in mind our end goal is larger than ourselves. Meet back here tomorrow at sundown for your first mission as Squad 0. Yes, sir. What if Naruto is a hidden teacher at UAN here and thanks for watching my video till the end.